ho, ho, Merry Christmas or something. I think, actually, that's more like a pirate thing. Ho, ho, ho is what Santa says. But anyway, whatever. Like, have a Merry Pirate Christmas to everybody, and welcome to the first of our holiday season specials. We've got a whole bunch of things that we've got planned. This time around, we're going to be talking about our favourite discoveries from this year that were not films from this year. For those of you who have no idea who we are, I don't know why you would suddenly be listening to our podcast on this episode, but welcome aboard.
Oh, this is more likely to get new listeners. People just going, I'm just going to see what their top 10 films are to get an idea of what their show is.
That is a very good point.
I'm very bored. I'm on holidays. I need some recommendations.
I just love how everyone has made themselves known without me introducing anyone. This is just professionalism.
Just making a comment, and now you can go back to your thing.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm back to my thing. So for those of you who have no idea who we are, my name is Dan.
And I'm Frankie.
What? And I'm not?
Yes, you are.
I think he was waiting to be introduced since he is our guest.
I was.
I know. I didn't really know how we were going to do
Frank.
this. Like, look, okay. Full disclosure, we do not plan anything with this podcast. We just jump in and have a bunch of fun. So, yes, this is Dan and Frankie Go to Hollywood, but it is also Dan and Frankie and Nobbins Go to Hollywood, because we are joined by our, now frequent collaborator, Mr. Charlie Nobbins, which may or may not be his real name. I really hope it's not, because that's just really cruel. Actually, I don't know which would be more cruel, being called Charlie or having the surname Nobbins. What do you reckon?
What's wrong with Charlie?
Like if you're born in the 50s or something. Charlie?
Nobbins in the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably be more embarrassed about the surname than the first name. At least you could go by the name Chuck. I mean, there's that. Chuck Nobbins.
Chuck Nobbins.
Yeah, ooh. That doesn't
So Charlie's too old-fashioned, but Chuck is fine.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you could wear a fresh pair of Chuck Taylors.
I know Charlies, I don't know any Chucks.
Yeah.
But that may be because we're not in America. Isn't that more an American thing?
Well, maybe. But, you can sport
I feel like I only know that name from movies or TV.
You can sport a fresh pair of Chuck Taylors. You can, after a big night out, you can...
So that's not even a thing here either.
After a big night out, you can walk through the door and just chuck.
Actually, that's probably the main, and if you have a really big night, it's a power Chuck.
Or with the amount that you're drinking. But anyway, no, it's water. That's right. It's yep.
Yeah,
right.
I am having one small drink. Definitely no Chuck in here.
Yeah, we know what you're like after one small drink. But anyway,
I'm old now. I can't deal with hangovers. I don't know how I used to do that to myself.
Yeah, I don't even get hangovers, so I don't know. I'm some kind of freak of nature.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, being
Let's
that
talk movies.
This was kind of your brainchild, young Franklin. How about you tell everybody why we're here today?
Oh, we already did that.
Yeah,
we're here
in a
to
nutshell.
talk about...
Let's break open the nutshell. Let's get out our nuts and no, wait a minute. Anyway, please.
Let's not do that.
No.
Let's get our knobs.
Hey,
not that either.
No, let's chuck our knobs.
So we're going to talk about our favourite discoveries of the year, and this is one of my favourite episodes to listen to other podcasts. Obviously, also the top 10 of the year, which we'll be doing soon, because the year hasn't finished yet, so we're not ready.
No.
Not that we've finished for discoveries, but
yeah,
we gotta get one in now. Otherwise, we're gonna have too many things to do after the end of the year. So we're just gonna go through and talk about our top 11 favorite discoveries of the year, and this is any movie that we watched that didn't come out this year.
I know, because a lot of end of year lists they go to 10, but once it goes to 10, where do you go from there? This list goes to 11. It's one louder.
I was wondering why you were doing the accent, and then halfway along I realised, and I'm like, I know that reference now.
Oh, of course you know that reference now. Yeah.
That's a great line from that Beatles movie, The Yellow Submarine, and you were Ringo Starr.
Yeah, let's say that. yes, so this list does go to 11. And yeah,
Yes, and mainly this was because Dan's had to miss a lot of movie watching this year, obviously, with twins.
Ugh.
And I watched a ton of movies, and Nobbins decided it because he got his list to 11. So we said, let's do 11, because I was happy to add an extra one, because trying to get my list down was really difficult because of how many good movies I've watched this year.
Yeah. I was actually amazed that I got to 11 because I just didn't think... So yeah, my twins were born in May, and after that, as Frankie said, I have just not had a chance to watch much at all, but because apparently kids are hard work. Like, who would have thunk it?
Who'd have thought?
Know.
And then if you have two of them.
Oh my god! I do tend to overdo things, but thankfully I had a really strong start to the year because I was this year was because of the podcast and everything. A couple of years ago, Frankie was all like, oh, you got to get on Letterboxd so I can, stalk you and stuff. And I was like, okay. And I gave it a go, but I wasn't really a huge fan of it because it sort of felt too much like homework, because I had this thing where, personally, I just had to review every single movie that I watched, which I then later realised, hang on, I didn't really need to do that after all.
You didn't need to do that at all.
No. So that was on me. But then for this year, because obviously it was going to be important to track movies and stuff, so I started using it again, but I did have this little sort of friendly rivalry thing going at the start of the year where I was like, okay, so Frankie normally gets to about 10,000 movies watched by the end of the year. I am going to do my best to try and keep up with her at least. And so I was just, oh my God, watching so much. Then, of course, the twins came along and they were like, oh, you like movies, do you? Hold my bottle. But yeah, so I did have a strong start. So I actually did manage to find 11 movies that I was very impressed with.
Quality over quantity.
Yes, exactly.
Funny you watched so little this year, because this is the year I've watched more than any other year. Even taking into account that some of my movies are short films, it still would be more than previous years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same.
And
this year's been my most watched year.
Yeah.
In one of our later episodes when we wrap up our year with stats.
Yes, where we do Dan and Frankie Wrapped. No. Not really.
No.
We're just so not calling it that.
I know, as I said that, I was like, oh, I wish I'd used a different word.
Yeah. But at least you got your point across.
My name is Dan, and I'm here to say I watched plenty of movies today. That's if you do Dan and Frankie Wrapped.
Oh, right. Wrapped. Yeah. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. We're going to go now, so No, we're not really. But also stick around after the episode, because we're also going to talk about a few other favourites from this year. Things like favourite books that we've read, or favourite music that we've heard, or the best porn sites that we've looked at, or favourite animals that we've passed in the street. I don't know. There could be so many surprises.
Remember, this is discoveries, not just anything.
Yeah. Oh, and hey, look,
things that you just discovered this year. I
discovered a lot of porn sites this year. No, I didn't really.
Featuring animals that were found on the street.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, oh, you saw that one as well. And so, but because this is kind of also like a end of the year sort of a thing, we should probably take a moment to thank everyone who has been listening to our podcast throughout the year, because, this has honestly gone so much better than we expected. I mean, Frankie and I went into this just, for ourselves, really, like just as a way to, talk about movies and get it out there. But, we've had so much fun, like, looking at how many countries that we've been, invading, and just, the whole bunch of people who have been, look, heck, one of them's ended up on our podcast now. Frankie. Yeah,
Who's
Frankie. Like, she's just been such a fan of this podcast. I thought, it might be good to get her on here.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And look, if anybody wants to come and hang out with us or whatever, you can find us on lots of social medias. We are on Facebook at Dan_and_Frankie. Pretty sure that's where we are at Twitter as well. Blue Sky, that's a whole different kettle of fish because Blue Sky's got really weird things, doesn't it? Let me just have a quick look. In the meantime, I'll tell you our email address, which is danandfrankiepodcast at either Gmail or Outlook.com, because, you know, as I've said it before, we are just so goddamn popular that we've just got all the email addresses. But if you, yeah, exactly. So our Blue Sky address is at danandfrankie.bisky.social. As in BSKY.social. Look, here's the thing. If you know how to use one of those fancy www Google machines, if you just type in Dan and Frankie Go to Hollywood, you will find us. We are out there somewhere. So, come and say hi and stuff. You never know. You might end up on our podcast or something if that is something you want to do. I don't know. Why would you want to? It's fun. That's why. Who's going to kick this off? Who's going first with their number 11? I reckon we should our guest of honor.
Are we going to bring in the rule, which
There's a
apparently
rule?
is the Bromley rule after Patrick Bromley, who from F This Movie. I know it's not super likely on this episode, but there are a couple of things I think it might happen where if someone says a movie that someone else has higher on their list, they say higher, and we just move on and don't talk about it till we get to its highest position.
Like we did with our top 10 video that we did last year. So yeah. Okay. Because I reckon there is one movie that you and I have on our list, Frankie.
I reckon definitely one, possibly two.
Yeah.
Possibly three.
Right. Oh.
Possibly 11.
But hey,
No.
you never know.
No, there's a lot of mine that I know for sure. I'm the only one who's watched them.
It can't be because she would have Neil Breen's Fateful Findings on her list, and that can't be on mine because I didn't discover that this year. So, man.
Spoiler alert.
Exactly.
Fateful Findings, which I did just watch yesterday because I told Dan, because he was feeling so bad with COVID, I said, give me your Neil Breen recommendation and I will watch it by the end of the year. And I thought it fitting to watch it before this episode, not because I expected it to be one of my top discoveries of the year, but just because it's my first Neil Breen film. Yeah. And it's not on my list, just to get that disappointment for you out of the way.
Because it was too good. That's the thing. Like, you had 11 and you're like, but Neil Breen, like, that would just be all 11. Like, I could just say Neil Breen's Fateful Findings, that's it. Like, you don't need any more
I
than
will
that.
say it's the most I've laughed watching a movie for a long time.
Good. No, that's absolutely...
not in the same way as something like Hot Rod.
No. It's a different... It's
something
good.
Yeah.
Like, did you just find it was just fascinating? Like, you're just sitting there like, how the absolute hell did this actually get made? And
I was like, why all those laptops?
Yeah.
Why is he saying no
none of
one
them
knows
turned
this
on?
thing that he just talked about a couple of scenes ago? And stuff is...
Well, let's.
I assume that all Neil Breen movies are alliterative. So you should have started with Adventurous Aardvark, which is his debut, and his best movie. Then got on to Beautiful Beast, Crazy Cat, Dexterous Dog.
Here we go. No, keep going. I'm just going to...
You realise we've been going for like 14 minutes and we still haven't started yet.
I know.
And we've got possibly 33 movies to discuss.
It's because we're just having so much damn fun and we're talking about Neil Breen now. So, yeah. Anyway, look, I think it should be up to our distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Movie Discoveries himself with his DNA test tube, behind him, to kick us off. So, what was number 11? And so these lists aren't in order, though, are they? They're just kind of...
Yeah, I ordered mine.
You ordered yours?
Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, so that the best... You got to talk about the best ones last.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right. Please, Nobbins,
You have
should...
a movie YouTube channel where you always counted down your top of the year and everything, and you didn't bother ordering.
But being that these were favourites, I just thought we were just throwing them out there. No, it's fine. I can do this. Don't even worry about it. Nobbins?
But you were confused why I kept sending messages saying I was trying to decide on my list
Nobbins,
and my order.
Please begin, and that'll give me time to work out a ranking for these movies.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, at number 11, I had the movie Terrified, which is a Argentinian horror movie. Came out in 2017. And I also reduced the number of movies on my list by not including any movie in the 2020s.
Oh.
So that took a few off. That helped me reduce the number quite considerably.
Wow.
So, Terrified I came across. I was actually on Letterboxd. I was looking up Terrifier 3, and I went Terrify, and I hit enter, and then I've gone, Terrified,
Yes.
what's this movie?
What is it?
I looked it up, and it's an Argentinian movie, as I said, horror movie. It's a paranormal type of movie where there's strange goings-ons happening in the neighbourhood in Buenos Aires, and a doctor specialising in the paranormal turns up with her colleague and ex-police officer to try and work out what's going on. I don't normally like the paranormal movies so much, so for me to have enjoyed this so much is quite high praise.
Yeah, right.
It's really well paced. It's tense. I found there was quite a lot of funny moments, which I wasn't expecting. It sort of balanced the tenseness with the funniness, and the way it used tropes that it knew and played off them in a different way than you would normally expect them was quite clever as well.
Right.
Held the premise all the way through to the end. There's some tricks in there where nothing seems to be going on, and then there is something going on. It depends on how you look at the scene, which I found really interesting as well. The writer-director of this movie went on to make When Evil Lurks as his next movie, which is also a fantastic movie. So, really enjoyed that. That's number 11 for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I have seen both of those movies and really enjoyed them. And Terrified had a really creepy scene near the beginning, and so it's on my list of movies that actually creeped me out. So it's very good. So I saw that. No, I didn't. What did I see? Maybe I just heard about it. I heard about When Evil Lurks, and then I really wanted to see that. And I think after that, I made a point to go back and watch Terrified because I liked When Evil Lurks so much.
Right. Yes, I have not seen Terrified, but I know of it because, same kind of thing. Like when you start looking for Terrifier, that comes up, and it's got that poster of the creepy looking thing.
Last year.
And you told us about it last year. There's that as well. I know of it, but have not got around
I think
to watching
I
it
have
yet.
given you clues for that once or twice in my 3 picks for you, because it's on my list of movies to get you to watch.
Okay. Oh, well, there you go. All right, Frankie, what have you got first on your list? Coming in at number 11, because we're ranking them, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine is actually a Nobbins recommendation.
Ooh.
Spoiler alert, The White Lotus Season 1 is one of my TV discoveries of this year. And it's set in a resort, and I just said in the chat, I feel like watching a movie set in a resort that's more lighter than White Lotus is. And so Nobbins recommended Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar, which I never heard of.
Higher.
Okay, and we'll come back to it later. That's one of the 3 that I thought that you might have.
Yep.
All right.
We'll be talking about that one in just a little while. Not too long, but yes. So hang on there, people. All right. Well, my number 11 was a movie that. Okay, so hear me out. It's been a really, 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 really busy year this year. I've had twins. I've got married. I've moved house. So many things have happened this year. And so some of the movies that I saw at the start of the year, that I may have ranked 4 stars and stuff, I don't quite remember well enough to go into as much detail as Nobbins did.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I do apologize about that. But number 11 on my list was a movie that I had been really, really keen to watch for a very long time now. And I'm actually pretty sure I owned it on Blu-ray for a long time and never got around to watching it. But that was Batman Assault on Arkham from 2014, which is an animated film. Does anybody else have this on their list?
No.
Okay, cool.
I haven't seen it.
Just let me check.
Yep. No? Okay, great stuff. So, as the synopsis on Letterboxd says, get ready to root for the bad guys, which is a whole different thing in Australia. But anyway, Batman works desperately to find a bomb planted by the Joker while Amanda Waller sends her newly formed Suicide Squad to break into Arkham Asylum and recover vital information stolen by the Riddler. Now, keeping in mind this movie came out 2 years before Suicide Squad, but this one was a way better, Suicide Squad movie. It was set in the world of the Batman Arkham video games. I don't know where in the storyline it sort of takes place or whatever, but and you had Kevin Conroy in, I think that was kind of one of his last outings as Batman in it. But yeah, it was just a really damn good heist film. It had sort of that kind of typical adult humor, not just humor, but adult content that a lot of the DC animated films have nowadays. And yeah, it was just a really great action film. The characterizations were really good. And yeah, if anyone is interested in a really good Suicide Squad film, that is definitely one to check out. So yeah, that's number 11 on my list. Gave it 4 stars. What do you know? Nobbins,
How about that?
what's your number 10?
My number 10 is a movie called One Cut of the Dead, which I saw this year, which also is from 2017 as well. I started going through looking at some of the best Asian horror movies of the last 10 to 15 years. And this is one that was recommended by quite a lot of people. It's totally not what I expected it to be from everything I read. And I guess the synopsis as well leads you one way, which is the way that the movie starts, but it's not the way that the movie finishes.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, this is
I don't
one
want to give
that
too much away.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil what happens for people who don't know and haven't seen it.
Absolutely. It's really my kind of movie. It's a bit insane. Everyone's fully committed to it. There's a 37 minute cut to open the movie, which they took them 2.5 days to do. They got it on the second take apparently, but there was a technical issue, so they had to do it again and again until they nailed it. It's so much fun. And yeah, went into directions I wasn't expecting. Yeah, I don't want to say too much. It's a zombie movie. It's a low budget zombie movie. But yeah, it's fantastic. I really recommend it.
Yeah, I think this made my top movies of whatever year I watched it.
Cool. Yeah, no, it does look really, really good. I'm so
you
keen
haven't
to see
seen
it.
it?
I have not seen it. No, because I don't get to watch movies. So yeah.
Yeah, but this is old.
And
Yeah, well, I only
it's
heard
okay,
of it
I'm
this
just-
year.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know how you avoided hearing about it when it came out. It was everywhere.
yeah, it's weirdly it cost $25,000 to make, and it made $25 million. So it's a pretty good
Not
return.
bad.
And most of the cast paid money to be in the movie.
Wow.
Because it was a product of an acting and directing workshop called Enbu Seminar.
Well, there you go.
See, I didn't
Yes.
even
Little
have
bit of
it
trivia
on
from
my
Trivia Man.
movies to show Dan list because I just would have assumed that you had seen it already.
Well, that's the thing. If you assume something, you make an ass out of
a
you.
huge horror movie from didn't you have your YouTube channel going at that time?
What was it, 2017? Yeah. 2016, my channel started, which is Movie Talk with Dan Jensen.
I just don't know how you missed it.
Well,
But anyway,
you missed
that's
Neil
okay.
Breen's
I can
films,
introduce
so
it to you at some stage next year. Maybe you'll pick that one.
You had never heard of Neil Breen until I mentioned him, so...
Yeah, but I would say that's a different level than One Cut of the Dead
Touche.
was.
Well, I don't know about that because I've not seen One Cut of the Dead, but...
No, I mean as far as, well, yes, movie making, but also as far as it being talked about everywhere.
Was the director of One Cut of the Dead also the writer, producer, star, caterer, makeup guy, wardrobe, sound department, everything? No.
Yes.
Oh, damn it! All right, fine, you win. Who are we up to? Frankie, what's your number 10?
Okay, I have two cheat ones, and this is one of my cheat ones because I couldn't pick between the two of them. So, Radiance has been my favorite label for releasing things, and there's two films that I watched this year of theirs that were both really different from the usual. So I've kind of grouped them together. I gave them both 4.5 stars. One I watched recently, which is Bandits of Orgosolo. So I won't say much about that because it was only a couple of episodes ago. It was pretty recent, but this was made in 1961 in Sardinia and following a shepherd who gets caught up in, like, there's bandits around and the police, for lack of, can't remember what they call them. Oh no, it's police. And so he kind of goes off into the mountains because the police think he's in with the bandits, and then, it follows that. But it's really interesting and really different, and a lot of, well, I think pretty much all the people in it are not professional actors, including the main actor, and they spoke in Sardinian, so they actually dubbed the voices into Italian for release. Right. So, yeah, and the other one is A Woman Kills, which is also from the 60s. It's a French film. And this is one that, check my review, it was lost for decades and, only got discovered, I think, fairly recently. And so Radiance put it out as kind of the first more widely available thing. And this is, I don't know if you'd call it experimental or just arty film, but it's got all, really different style to it. Follows a woman gets executed for killing prostitutes, but then after her execution, the killings start up again.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's just got really different stuff, interesting jazzy score that's, just got some unsettling sounds to it. And yeah, it's just, very different. So if you like different kind of movies, both of these are quite different from the usual. But yeah, like I said, I gave them 4.5 stars. I really liked them both. Two of my favourite films that Radiance have released.
Cool. And we will allow you to put two films in one spot. That's fine, because your name is in the podcast, so I guess you can make your own rules. It's fine. My number 10 is a film that, it was one of those films that I actually thought I had seen, but to my surprise, when I kind of looked into it, I was like, actually, I haven't seen it. And that is a film from 1987 called Miami Connection, which is one of those movies that is an absolute cult classic. So, greetings from the most dangerous jungle in the world, the streets of Miami. In a world where ninjas dream of being rock stars and rock stars dream of being ninjas, a martial arts rock band goes up against a band of motorcycle ninjas who have tightened their grip on Florida's narcotics trade. Do I even need to say any more about this film? So, yeah, I have a deep love of these kind of movies. This one, though, was actually... It was, better made than things of the likes of, Deadly Prey and stuff like that. And it actually even has...
it's hard to believe.
I know. It even has like a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually like it's a competently made film, but it is just so ridiculously cheesy in parts. I mean, oh god, there's just nowhere to start. I mean, the band Dragon Sound in the film, that is just the most 80s name for a rock band you could ever even imagine. Dragon Sound, and they're all these taekwondo dudes and stuff, and it's just glorious. But you got things like there's a scene where one of the group, he goes out to the mailbox because there's this subplot about him trying to find his real father or something, and he gets this letter in the mailbox, and all of a sudden the rest of the band, they all come out and they're crowded around him. They're like, what is it? And it's like a letter about how they found his real dad or something, and they do this thing. I'm pretty sure from memory, they pick him up, do the sort of end of football game thing on his, pick him up on their shoulders, and they're all cheering, and it's just like, oh, this is just magnificent. Yeah, and I mean, look, yeah, it's Miami, it's rock band, it's ninjas, it's everything that you could imagine from a movie like that, and I loved every goddamn minute of that thing. And they did actually release a special edition Blu-ray of it not that long ago. I think it was only last year or something.
Oh, was it? I only noticed it this year, and I think it must have just been browsing on the website then if it came out last year. I think Umbrella, maybe? Yeah, must have been Umbrella, actually, because it wouldn't have been imprint.
Actually, it would have, because it's one of the streaming services that it's playing on is Broly, so yeah, it would have been them. But yeah, like I said, it is a cult classic film, this one. And yeah, I loved every second of it, and yeah, we'll watch it again and again and again for the rest of my days. Top that one, Nobbins.
If you dare. I don't know if I can. That was very good. But I will go to a movie that Frankie recommended me. Norfolk, which was a 2003 movie. Set in 1955, the residents of a small Montana community are forced to move their homes to make way for a new dam.
Damn.
So, damn it. Yeah, I didn't know anything much about this movie apart from that Frankie loved it.
That was my introduction to Ben Foster.
Which was a long and continuing love affair with Ben Foster. I really wasn't... Well, I didn't really know what to expect coming into it, but it's very funny. The script is brilliant. It just crackles and moves along at a hectic pace. And the wordplay is fantastic in it as well. The performances are magnificent across the board. And it's got this sense of whimsy about it, which I really love.
You are into your whimsy.
Some movies...
Yeah.
It's true. Everyone knows that about me. They call me Charlie Whimsy Nobbins.
Oh, God, I hope not. But anyway.
And I say, that's my dad's name. You can call me Mr. Nobbins. Yeah, so I got really engaged with the movie. There's multiple stories which are run concurrently throughout the movie, but they resolve at the end. It all gets tied up nicely. And it's just a really offbeat movie. If you're on the wavelength, you'll love it, but I can see that some people probably wouldn't like it so much. It's not the fastest moving movie. It's slow. It's I guess what you call a cozy movie these days. It's something to sort of get wrapped up in.
Yeah,
so
it's one that I'm not sure about recommending to people, and I wasn't sure because I think that that was a fair while ago, and I didn't really know your movie taste, so I was like, oh, I don't know. I hate the thought of recommending a movie to someone and they don't like it. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. But yeah, because this one is so different and slow and has that... Yeah, you've got to be on the wavelength for it, otherwise you probably... Yeah, might just think it's slow and boring and weird.
Yep.
In a bad way. But it's weird in a good way. But yeah, I found this one by chance because back in... when did it come out?
2003.
Okay, it must have been back around then. I was watching Twin Peaks, or I was maybe rewatching it by then. Or maybe watching it the first time. Anyway, I was super into Kyle MacLachlan, so I was looking for anything else he was in. And he was in this film. He's in like one scene, I think. But I got this film because he was in it. And, I mean, it's got other... Yeah, Ben Foster. It's also got Anthony Edwards and... oh, what's his name? The one that played the priest. Nick Nolte. Yeah. Yep. And so, yeah, there's lots of fun things, even if Kyle MacLachlan only had one scene. And yeah, I just fell in love with the vibe of it, especially the little crew that's like Ben Foster and Anthony Edwards are in the same kind of group. So I really liked that story.
Yeah, for a little unknown movie, it's got an amazing cast. It's like James Woods is in it as well, plus Daryl Hannah. So yeah, for a movie I'd never heard of, it's got a stellar cast.
Yeah, and now, like, you've talked about it, so now I can't say it's a film I've never heard anyone talk about.
Oopsies.
That's a good thing. I'm like, I want it to be known and talked about.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, my next one is another cheat, but not quite as much of a cheat.
You only got 5 films in the number 9
This
spot.
is Horror in the High Desert 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Because I watched them one day after the other.
Yeah.
And so this is like I almost wasn't going to watch this because I'm not really into found footage, and I heard it was a found footage film, but it's more like a mockumentary film, and it just shows some footage that someone had filmed as part of that documentary. So that's, to me, different from found footage where it's someone filming the whole time. And so the first movie follows a guy who has gone missing, and so the documentary is talking to friends and people who knew him and everything, but he'd been filming, going out. He was really into outdoors and going in the high desert, up in the woods and stuff. And he'd seen some strange things, and he had a YouTube channel and was telling people about everything. And then he went back one time and just disappeared, but they found this video that he took. And it's one of those movies that builds as it goes along. If you're watching for horror, you'll probably find it pretty boring along the way, because it's mainly at the end that you get the extremely tense and creepy moments.
Oh, yeah.
But I like watching, this kind of documentary thing. I was really interested in that part. And then the second film follows someone else who goes missing, but in the same area. So it's like same universe. And this one had more creepy moments. It wasn't just all at the end. And I just couldn't believe the atmosphere of some of those creepy scenes. There's one going down into like a basement kind of area, and then there's a big thing at the end. So yeah, I loved both these films for making me feel that tense, because that's what I want to feel when I watch horror movies. And the third movie has come out this year, but unfortunately I can't watch it because there's only one way for us here to watch it at the moment, which is to rent directly from the director's company. But it didn't like my credit card and it declined, so I can't see it.
Outrageous.
So I have to wait until there's some other way. And I'm just like, why can't he be like Steve Rosinski, who put like Curtains for Christmas on Amazon and ticked the worldwide box?
Yeah.
Whereas this guy obviously just ticked the USA box when he put it on Prime.
Well,
So,
what you could do...
Can you just put some coins in an envelope and just address it to the director of and then just put it in the
Alternatively, you could always buy a ticket to the US, go there just for a night, stay in a hotel or something, watch it there, come back the next day. Easy.
Well,
on,
I'm
there is
looking
always a
forward
way.
to when I can watch it, because a lot of people are saying like it's the best one so far, and which
Yeah,
you
cool.
know is kind of believable because the second one was better than the first one, so why wouldn't
Exactly.
it keep going?
When
And
I was
there's
looking-
a fourth one coming.
When I was looking through my list, I almost added the second one to this list. But I think I kind of thought that you would have it on there, so I thought, I'll leave that one off for now. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first one, and there is one moment in particular that still has stuck in my brain, and it's just because it's weird, you know, and that makes it creepy, and it's the bit where he's got the night vision, he's out in the bush or whatever near that little house, and he's moving the camera and looking for that old guy, and he comes around, and the dude just kind of skips sideways towards him, like...
Just spoilers a bit there.
Oh, hardly. That looks so weird and unnatural and everything, and it just stuck in my brain. It was kind of like there's a very famous Japanese horror film called Kairo, which was remade as a movie called Pulse, but there was this famous moment where there's this ghost of a woman sort of slowly walking towards the camera, and at one point she just kind of stumbles sideways a little bit, gets up and keeps walking, and it's just sort of like, why did that happen? Like, there's just no logical reason for it. And like, I find things like that really stand out. If you want to make a scene, you know, just spectacularly creepy, do something bizarre like that. So yeah, that old guy, I will never forget that as long as I live. But I did rank the second one higher than the first one. I think I gave it like a 4 or 4.5 or something. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that third one as well. So yeah, if you got a spare seat on the plane, I'll come over and
Yeah,
we
the
can watch it
third
together.
one follows a guy, which I think they put at the end of one of the movies, maybe the second one, who is traveling to the area to investigate what the first guy was looking at.
Right.
So yeah, I'm very curious to watch that one.
Yeah, absolutely. No, those are really, really solid films.
I was surprised that I found that by chance. I can't remember if I saw a list or something. I just randomly saw something somewhere. The first one was mentioned, and then it was on Tubi. So the first two are on Tubi. So I just thought, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. And yes.
Yeah, based on
one
your
of the discoveries of
recommendation,
the year.
I had to check it out. And yeah,
That's why I watched the second one the next day, because I'm like, I need to watch the sequel right now.
Yeah. All right, so my number 9 is a film that Nobbins recommended to us called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. We get to talk about it now, so there you go. So Nobbins had watched this crazy, quirky little comedy about the story of best friends Barb and Star who leave their small Midwestern town for the first time to go on vacation in Vista Del Mar, Florida, where they soon find themselves tangled up in adventure, love, and a villain's evil plot to kill everyone in town. And yeah, I was, based on his recommendation, I was like, all right, this sounds good. Yeah, 4.5 stars later. I'm just going to read my own review here because it'll save thinking. What an underrated gem. Reminds me a little of the type of humor found in movies like Better Off Dead and Napoleon Dynamite. Quirky, weird, surreal, and utterly charming. Fun from start to finish, and the energy never lets up for a single moment. Immensely rewatchable and likely to always be fun, and even features Richard Cheese himself in a few scenes. If you like your comedies on the bizarre side, don't hesitate to check this one out. I don't know where that voice came from, but anyway. Yeah, my God, this was such a surprise. And like I said, yeah, it was extremely quirky. Some of the stuff that happens in this film was just so off the wall. I absolutely love Kristen Wiig. I think she is one of the funniest women on the planet. I'm going to throw it over to you guys to talk about it as well because, otherwise I'm going to keep going too much. So
Yeah, well, I started watching this, and I had never heard of it before. I think it was a pandemic movie, or it missed out on theatrical because of COVID or something.
that's true. Yeah.
So that's maybe why I never had heard of it. So I had no idea, and I just started watching it. I knew obviously it was going to be a comedy, but I didn't know it was going to be that weird. I didn't know there was going to be songs until the first song started. And the most amazing thing was, like, I don't think Jamie Dornan's creepy anymore. Because, like I said in my review, there's a really great TV show called The Fall, which this is another TV show that I don't know anyone who's watched it. But
I've seen it with Gillian Anderson.
And so Jamie Dornan's a serial killer in that, and it follows him as well as Gillian Anderson, the detective after him. So you know it's him from the start, and you're just watching him go about his evil ways. And he was so good in that role that I just think of him as creepy because I hadn't really seen him in anything else. And so to see him in this movie is like the complete opposite. And he sings a song in this movie, and it's absolutely brilliant. And hilarious. And I actually have had the 4K, because there's no 4K here, of course, but I've had the American 4K in my watch list on Amazon since I watched it, because it's $50. I think it's $48 is maybe the cheapest it's been, but I just got the digital 4K for $5 from Apple, so there we go. So now I own it.
Perfect.
And
Yay!
Yes, I look forward to watching it again soon.
No, I'm really keen to see it again. It was so much fun. I know this wasn't like on your list, Nobbins. Did you want to throw anything in about this film, since you were the one who brought it to us?
Yeah, I mean, we watched it a few years ago, but Megan and I, my wife, Megan Nobbins,
Megan Nobbins.
We loved it. I mean, it was just so funny and unexpected, and we knew nothing about it coming into it either, apart from that Kristen Wiig was in it. I only knew Jamie Dornan as being from those 50 Shades of Grey movies, and he was so funny. It's like, in my head, he was like a straight man who super serious. But he was hilarious in it, and it's just my kind of zany type of humour.
It really was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't often get movies that are this kind of funny and this kind of weird. And so I think that makes it extra fun that it's like made. Also, oh man, I had to laugh when it starts and it's, making a big thing about what their personalities are and how they look and everything, and because they're in their 40s. It's so old.
Oh, isn't it? My God. But no, I just actually realised, because Better Off Dead and Napoleon Dynamite are both in my top 10 favourite movies of all time, so it's probably no wonder that this movie appealed to me as well. But anyway. Alright, Nobbins, what do you got? Number 8. Bring it.
I've got another hilarious movie. It's all-time classic comedy called I Saw the Devil, which is nothing but slapstick all the way.
I have this on my honourable mentions.
Well, there you go. From 2010. It's been on my radar for forever. But I don't know, I never got around to watching it until I think after you watched it, Frankie. I think you watched it first, and that gave me the push to actually get in and watch it, because it's not a short movie. It's like 2.5 hours, and it is just super intense.
As far as the laughs go.
Right.
Wow.
Wall to wall. I mean, by half an hour, my sides were split, and I had to go get some sticky tape.
Oh, yeah, that's the best thing to use for it. Yeah.
And start again. But for people who don't know, it's a revenge movie where this guy. It's a South Korean movie. There's a guy who's trying to avenge the death of his wife, was it?
Or fiancé.
Fiancé, his partner.
His bitch.
And well, I don't know. I can't say too much about it apart from that it's super violent. It just, this guy just spirals down. There's that old saying about before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves.
Ooh.
And there's more than 2 graves.
Spoiler. Jeez. Oh, well, don't need to watch it now.
Yeah. So, highly recommended.
It's a very strong ending as well.
Yes. The ending's perfect. And devastating.
Did the 2 graves get filled?
With balloons.
Yeah,
because of how funny
Yeah. Oh, balloons are hilarious. Yeah.
So it was great. Some trivia from this movie. The Korean Media Rating Board forced the director to recut the movie for its theatrical release over there. Otherwise, because it was too violent, otherwise it would have been a restricted rating, preventing it getting released. For the international version, though, they dumped all that cut content, went back in, so we got all the violence
Nice.
Internationally. So, yeah.
There you go, everyone. You heard it here first. That bit of trivia has not been revealed anywhere
else.
Other than on the Dan and Frankie and Nobbins podcast.
And IMDb.
Shh, no. No. Don't look at IMDb. It's not there. You won't find it there. This is where it's at. No, that does sound... that is another movie that I would like to see one day when I can. Yeah, when the kids have left home.
One of these days. Yeah. One of these decades.
Frankie, what do you got at number 8?
Okay, my number 8 is actually a really funny movie. And it is What's Up, Doc?
Oh.
Which is from 1972 with Barbra Streisand and Ryan O'Neal.
And Bugs Bunny.
I do not have this on my list.
No, I didn't expect you to. And then this was a fun one. I actually, I think I heard about it on a podcast, and then I looked it up, and on Apple they had a trailer, which was, I've noticed it's a thing on digital rental sites where sometimes if they don't have an actual trailer, they just play like a minute of a scene from a movie. And so this one, they just played a little bit of the movie, and I loved that scene so much that I rented it and watched it. And it's very cool, and it's a bit convoluted to try and explain the plot, but basically there's 4 different people that have the same like overnight bag, and the bags get mixed up and identities get mixed up, and it's just hilarious. And there's a really cool car chase later on, and lots of fun stuff. And so Barbra Streisand kind of latches on to Ryan O'Neal's character, who's like a geologist or something, and he's coming to this convention to try and win a grant. And he's there with his fiance, she must be, I don't think, or what, just someone. But Barbra Streisand kind of kind of pushes in, and I can't remember now why it's been a while, I can't remember why she's like latched onto him, but so she attends the dinner thing they're having to announce the grant, and pretends that she's his wife to all the people there and everything. And then there's a bit of hilarity when his actual wife is trying to get in. And so it's just these people, there's like a spy kind of guy that's got secrets in one of the bags. The Ryan O'Neal's character just has his rocks or whatever he's got in his, and then there's just an rich old lady that has jewels in one, and then there's someone trying to steal the jewels, and it's just all this big
hijinks,
mix-ups, and hijinks, that's the word.
Yeah. And there's 2 graves full of balloons. And then that really cool car chase at the end, and it's really fun. And I'm really sad that this doesn't appear to have any kind of physical release. If there was a DVD, it's out of print. I couldn't find anything. Wow. I've got a digital copy because I could at least get that, but I would love to have a really nice release for it. Well, there you go.
Did Ryan O'Neal get his rocks off the end?
That's a legit question. But look, being that it is the time of year for giving, if anyone out there can get their hands on a funky fresh DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, VHS, heck, we would accept a Laserdisc at this point of What's Up, Doc.
8K.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh no, wait! I take that back.
Email us or
no,
message us
I
or
take
whatever.
that back. It's actually really easy to get a DVD. I think I just decided because I can get it digitally, but there's no Blu-ray.
All right, so if anyone wants to send us a Blu-ray or whatever, address it to the Queen of Lies at Dan and Frankie, PO Box 137.
You know what? I just found a Blu-ray, but it's like $47.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
wow.
I'm not paying $47 for a Blu-ray. Okay, so obviously there is stuff available. Just there's no cheap Blu-rays available.
I don't even know if I can believe it.
I just found a 3D IMAX version on a Laserdisc.
Hey, as you said at the start of the show, we don't plan anything.
No, we really don't. I did not
research the availability of all my movies.
And I did not plan that I would find out that you've been lying to me this entire time. Yeah, wow. When I say my name is Dan and you say my name's Frankie, is it? I don't know. Like, whoa, mind blown.
Well, I will say if you look at my birth certificate, it doesn't say Frankie.
Wow. All right, there we go. So yes, next time will be the Dan and Sally go to Hollywood or something. I don't know. Anyway, moving on because this is just getting weird.
What's your number 8?
My number 8 is The Lodge, which is a psychological horror film from 2019, and it absolutely rocked my frickin' socks off. I am currently not...
That was my number 12. Sorry, I'm just jumping in. That actually got the last cull before
very good, very good. I am currently not wearing socks because they were rocked off by this movie. So the Letterboxd synopsis, which is good because it doesn't reveal too much. When a father is forced to abruptly depart for work, he leaves his children, Aiden and Mia, at their holiday home in the care of his new girlfriend, Grace. Isolated and alone, a blizzard traps him inside the lodge as terrifying events summon specters from Grace's dark past. Holy shit, this film starts off with a really shocking, brutal scene that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the film. Not going to say what happens, but yeah, my God, I can still see it when I close my eyes and imagine it now. Because it's, wow, it just rattled me. But then, throughout the whole film, like, everything about it, you know, the setting, the time of year, like, well, apparently it's a Christmas film, which I only found out just recently. But yeah, everything about it just made it really eerie and stuff. And, you know, there's this whole thing about a character having a history with a cult and stuff, and mass suicide and all sorts of creepy, eerie, weird shit. But yeah, it was a little bit disturbing, and yeah, I found it just overall very creepy. And the ending was shall I say, mind blowing? I mean, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really sort of say too much about the film because it's one of those things that's best left to, to experience it for yourself for the first time. But there's just a lot of stuff that happens in this film that was really full on. So if you are in the mood for a movie like that, just brace yourself because it's a wild one, that one. But yeah, highly recommended.
I have that one on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I have it on my watch list.
It really was a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
my list.
We got you. Nobbins and I both gave that one 4.5 stars. Loved it. All right, we're up to number 7. Nobbins.
Lucky number 7.
What do you got?
At number 7, we've got a Steven Soderbergh movie called The Limey, which came out in 1999.
I was really hoping you were going to say Steven Seagal, but anyway, that's all right. It's fine.
I know that's much further.
Yeah, of course.
Top 3 of all Steven Seagal movies.
I've heard of that film.
The Limey. It's a movie that definitely was a movie. And it was made.
Oh right, yeah.
It's another revenge movie. So it stars Terence Stamp as the father of a woman who was murdered in LA, and he comes across the pond from UK with vengeance on his mind to find the people who are responsible for killing his daughter. And it is just full on. It's just frenetic from start to finish. It really doesn't take a pause.
Right.
It's an hour and a half, so perfect runtime. Performances are fantastic. There's Soderbergh's got different framing, which works really well. The script's fantastic. It mixes humour, sudden violence, drama, and he gets the most out of his performances from his actors.
Well, he's a very good director.
I literally have not watched it until this year because of the
name. Dude!
The name was.
I was going to say that the title has always put me off. It is such a shit title. Like, I've seen the video cover, for years, or years ago, I should say, and I always looked at the Limey. No, I'm not watching this pile of shit.
Yeah. More like the orangey. Or the lemony.
More like I'm not watching this ever. But yeah, wow.
And of course, Limey is slang over there but it didn't appeal to me at all. There was nothing about the title that drew me in. But I kind of regret not watching it before kids when we could actually go to the movies and see it. It really is an amazing.
Well, Soderbergh is a top director. Like, he has done a lot of films that I love, and I love the fact that he operates his own camera. Well, used to anyway. I don't know if he still does, but he still does. Stuff like that. So okay. Well, you got me interested in that one. Now I might have to actually check it out.
I do enjoy that he moves from different genres, and he'll do an independent movie and a big budget movie, and he just does what he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, I always sort of, there's a lot of ways I liken him to Robert Rodriguez. They kind of have very similar trajectories and stuff. So okay, cool. No, that's good to hear. I'll have to investigate that film. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, Frankie, or whatever your name is. Sally, yeah.
My number 7 is Bait from 2019, directed by
here we go.
Mark Jenkin, and this was a movie that I actually found by looking at the Invader Records site, and they had the score there, and I liked how the artwork looked, so I listened to the music, and I liked how the music sounded, so I rented the movie.
Right.
And it's very... I have a lot of different movies, don't I? It's very different. Part of it is that he filmed it on an old Bolex camera, which I had to Google what that was, but it's like a hand-cranked camera that does 16mm, and he then hand-processed the film himself, and because it's that kind of camera, he had to do all the sound in post. And then he did the thing, I don't know the terms, but when it looks all like flickering and speckles and spots and things on it. So
the technical term is flickery and speckly.
I don't know if there was a name. So there's a lot of that on it, and it's in 4:3 aspect ratio. And so it feels almost like an old documentary, and a lot of it is just following this guy. He's in a small, is it small? It's like a, I want to say village, but it's a place where...
Well, do it then. If you want to, do it.
Yeah,
he's
like a fisherman, but his brother is using their dad's old boat to take tourists out to make money, and so there's friction between them for that, because he's sort of against the...
It's my boat.
People go there for their holiday homes and things, so it's like, it's a small community being overtaken by rich holiday people coming by. But it's just really interesting, and so it's following this guy mostly, and it's just got a great way of filming things, and like sometimes it'll focus on something and you're like, oh, is that important? But it's just there's just part of the style. And there was a really cool conversation in a bar where there was 2 people at the bar and then 2 people in another room playing pool, and the camera is cutting from one to the other, but conversation going back and forth between each conversation. And so it all still makes sense what they're saying, but you're kind of going between them back and forth, and which is something I haven't seen before. So yeah, it's just very unique and a very like director's voice kind of movie. And I watched this in June, and I talked about, I think there's a special way to say it, but I'm just going to say Ennis Men, his latest film out. And we're in December now, and it's still not available here at all in any way, and it's really annoying me because after watching this film, I really want to watch that film.
Not available apart from on DVD, Blu-ray, digital rental.
Well,
Yeah,
not
exactly. I just
available
can't
in
believe a word you say
Australia.
now.
I could import the Blu-ray if I
say.
want to pay $40 for it, and I don't really want to pay $40 for a Bluray.
Yeah, no, we believe you. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, no, that
I did it.
what's that?
I did actually. We saw Bait during lockdown, and probably 4 years ago, and yeah, I really liked it. I probably didn't like it as much as you did. I'm sort of in like the 3.5, but it's quirky and fun, and the performances from people that I'd never heard of before were really
And it's
good.
the kind of movie that, it kind of builds up to a big thing happening, but the movie doesn't treat it like a big thing. Like, when the, big thing happens, the movie's just like, oh yeah, this happened, let's just continue on. And so it's really interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it sounds, even if anything, just from a perspective of how the film was made and everything, you've always had my interest in that one, but apparently I can't see it over here, so, whatever.
No, Bates you can see here. His newest film you can't see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
New one.
Yeah. Sorry, I've still got COVID brain, so yeah.
Yes,
shut
you
up.
can rent this one. It's not streaming anywhere, though.
Yeah, that's right. Because even then, as I was saying that, I was like, wait a minute, how did you watch it? Yeah, never mind. I'm just going to move on to my number 7 now. And that was let's just say it was a Frank-emendation. And it is a movie from 1965 called Repulsion.
Ah. Yeah.
So this is a movie by Roman Polanski, because we don't subscribe to the theory that if someone does something shit in the real world, we have to cancel everything. We can't watch Roman Polanski's films because he did terrible things to people, so out with his filmography. Whatever. No, I love his films, so shut up. So this was, I think, the first one in the so-called Apartment trilogy that then went on to Rosemary's Baby and...
The
was
Tenant.
it The Tenant?
Yeah.
It is The Tenant. There you go.
The Tenant's also really good.
I have it ready to go to watch one day when I can watch movies. So this movie, the nightmare world of a urchin's dreams becomes the screen's shocking reality. Beautiful young manicurist Carol suffers from androphobia, which is the pathological fear of interaction with men. When her sister and roommate Helen leaves their London flat to go on an Italian holiday with her married boyfriend, shock, horror, Carol withdraws into her apartment. She begins to experience frightful hallucinations, her fear gradually mutating into madness. My God, that is a great way to describe this film, because this was such a fantastic portrayal of paranoia and madness and a descent into hell. I gave this film 5 stars. I thought it was utterly perfect. Just the way that sort of really weird shit happens throughout it and stuff, and there's some just really, really creepy moments here and there, and then when things just start escalating towards the end, which I'm obviously not going to say anything about, but the ending of this film was amazing. And yeah, it's definitely a film that I want to watch again and again and again because I was just blown away by how good this film was. I thought Catherine Deneuve in the lead role as Carol, she was just fantastic. So believable in, the way that, she had this sort of phobia of people and everything. She was, yeah. And you really sort of felt for her as well, like just with all the horrible things that were going on with her character. There was a lot of sympathy involved there. So, that film really surprised me. I was amazed at how much I absolutely loved that film. So, yes, thank you very much for that recommendation.
I will say, too, a modern movie that kind of made me think of Repulsion is Darling from 2015, which has Lauren Ashley Carter in it doing an amazing performance as well. But there's a similar thing. It's shot in black and white, and it's a young woman slowly losing her mind a bit.
Yeah, right. Cool. All right, Nobbins, we are up to number 6.
Number 6. So my number 6 movie is a movie called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore from 2017. Right. So the synopsis is, when a depressed woman is burgled, she finds a new sense of purpose by tracking down the thieves along with her obnoxious neighbour. But they soon find themselves dangerously out of their depth against a pack of degenerate criminals. So, just for something different, it's another revenge movie. It's 3 in a row for me. How many graves
in this one?
This one's got 2 3/4.
Right. But not balloons this time.
Yeah. No, well, one's balloons, one's gravy.
Gravy in a grave.
Gravy in a grave, which is just perfect. And the other one's soup.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was grapes. Yeah. Oh, that'd just be silly. Stupid. I mean, why would you put grapes in a grave? I don't understand. All right.
Exactly.
No,
understand.
Come on.
So I came across this movie. I watched Rebel Ridge earlier in the year, which is a Jeremy Saulnier movie.
Fancy.
And then I watched Blue Ruin, which is another revenge movie by Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah.
And Macon Blair is an actor who collaborates quite often with young Mr. Jeremy. And I found out that he made a movie of his own, which he wrote and directed, which is this movie.
Well, there you go.
It stars Elijah Wood and one of my favourite actors of all time, Melanie Lynskey. Melanie Lynskey is the woman who gets her house burgled. And Elijah Wood is the local neighbourhood loner crackpot.
Right.
Nice.
Who doesn't know how to behave in polite society. But together the old couple team up to try and bring it down the local criminals, and they find themselves in probably more trouble than they can deal with.
Cool.
It's very funny. There's a lot of sudden violence, unexpected violence, quite realistic violence in that it comes and goes quickly. It's like not like protracted fights where people are getting hit with concrete blocks and getting up again and fighting. This is like it's there and done and over.
Yeah, right.
It's a great movie if you like that sort of revenge genre. Elijah Wood's fantastic. Melanie Lynskey's fantastic. It's a really good movie. It's on Netflix.
Cool.
I looked it up, and I remember, like, this has been on my list for ages, probably since it came out, and I saw it was a thing. But I'm also looking at the picture on Letterboxd, and I'm like, you can kind of tell that Elijah Wood's a bit of a weirdo because he's got those glasses, and you always know when someone has those particular type of glasses that they're not quite right.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's standing there pouring gravy into a 6-foot hole in the ground. So, like, that's craziness right there. Like, who does that?
And Macon Blair sort of compared this as sort of like a soulmate of a movie to Falling Down.
Oh, okay.
So if you think of Michael Douglas's character in Falling Down and Elijah Wood in this, there's kind of...
Right.
simpatico.
Cool. All right, Frankie, what do you got number 6?
Okay. This is not a cheap one, but I'm just going to mention a couple of connections.
Here we go.
So my number 6 is Investigation of a Citizen Above Suspicion, which includes an actor. No, well, it's not technically a discovery of this year,
Right.
because he was in A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, but which I saw back in 2017 and 2018. But it's Gian Maria Volonte, and I've seen a few of his films this year. Like The Working Class Goes to Heaven is the first one that I noticed him. He's the main character in that, and that's a movie I never would have watched from the description because it's very like political, and
Yeah, right.
I didn't think I was into political movies, but I've watched a bunch this year, so apparently I am. But that's the number 1 release from Radiance, and at one stage I was like, I'm going to watch them in spine number order, so I watched that because it was number 1, and I wasn't expecting that much from it because of the description of the plot, but then, yeah, I was really into it, and I thought he was really good. And then I've watched a few things, but this one's probably the most interesting. I watched this recently. He plays a police chief kind of guy, and he runs the homicide department, but he's about to transfer, or he is just transferring over into the more political area. This is in the 70s in Italy, so it's when there's a lot of stuff going on there. And he kills his mistress, girlfriend, whatever.
His bitch.
Yeah. That's fitting, actually, probably, for this character. And basically, he leaves all these clues that lead to him around the, crime scene. And then... So the investigation is running and he's there, but he's not really super involved he is in the beginning, but then he transfers to this more political role. And yeah, it's just about how, no one suspects him even when things point to him because he's like the top police guy. And it's really interesting. It has a really fun score by Morricone. And this is directed by Elio Petri, who... also did Working Class Goes to Heaven. And I also will quickly mention Slap the Monster on Page 1 as another Volonte film where he plays like a terrible editor of a newspaper who's just basically using the rape and murder of a girl to write articles and kind of, get the readers believing what he wants them to believe to help this politician that he's sort of in with and wants to get ahead. Right. So, yeah. So it's
cool.
Very good.
Well, that was a nice collection of 5 movies in your number 6 spot.
Investigation is my actual pick. I just have to talk about Gian Maria. Right.
Okay, cool. Because I think we had Fistful of Dollars was in there as well.
I just mentioned the name. I didn't say anything else.
Right. Okay.
It's just context information, not a pick.
My choice for number 6 is a lot easier because it's only one movie. And that was a film that I'm going to have to confer with you guys as to how much I can actually talk about this film. And this is going to be interesting because Frankie gave it 4 stars, Nobbins gave it 1.5, and I gave it a solid 5. And that is The Coffee Table. From 2022.
I couldn't remember when that came out. Didn't that come out this year?
Right. 2022, apparently.
Well, yeah, but...
It was released in 2022, but it was only widely available.
Yeah, so shut up.
So this is a 2024 movie.
2022. I'm looking at it right now. It says 2022.
Yeah, but it only came out here this year. And a lot of places this year.
Yeah, you know what? I don't care because I can't be bothered going to find something else.
It came out in August.
So... Of 2022, that's right. 2, yeah, exactly. So
are you saying that you were in Estonia to watch it in 2022?
Actually, yes. My grandmother is from there. So what else you got? Yeah, that's right. I was there in 2022. I went to the Estonia Film Festival, and I saw it.
You mean
on the big
Talon
screen,
Black
the
Nights Film
Talon
Festival?
Black Nights Festival. That's exactly the one. Yeah, exactly. Tallinn, which is the capital of Estonia. What else do you want from me? I mean, shut up. I went to visit the birthplace of my grandmother. And I was like, oh, what's this movie? Anyway, this movie is about Jesus and Maria are a couple going through... it's probably Jesus, who knows. Going through a difficult time in their relationship. Nevertheless, they have just become parents. To shape their new life, they decide to buy a new coffee table, a decision that will change their existence.
You can't say anything.
Oh, are you serious?
Well,
okay.
Yeah, you can't.
All right, I won't.
Because remember watching it and how it was watching it, not knowing anything.
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, they have this newborn child. They have a coffee table. Two worlds collide, and things happen in their sphere of existence. And
you were standing.
How the hell can I talk about this movie?
Well,
now?
you can just talk about the feelings that it invoked.
Yes, because it brought out all the Estonian feelings from me. No, this movie is a journey through tension. You've basically got a character who needs to try and hide something. And there are a lot of people that keep coming into the location and he's trying to hide this thing and through lies and subterfuge. Ooh, subterfuge.
Was it lies?
Subterfuge is actually an Estonian word that I picked up when I was at the Tallinn Black Night Film Festival. Look, it is a fucked up movie, extremely fucked up, but
is it though?
It really is, Nobbins.
I didn't consider it for this list because it's a 2024 movie. But I did say in my review that I don't know if any movie's ever made me so uncomfortable watching it. The anxiety and tension is unbearable. There's pitch black comedy, but even when you're laughing at that, the anxiety never goes away. And then I said at the end, I was like, I think I need to go hang out in the sunshine with my cat now.
Yeah. It is that kind. Actually, that sums it up perfectly. And I didn't get to do that when I saw it at the Black Night Film Festival because, of course, it was middle of the night when we got out and there were no cats around. I absolutely loved that film. And is it weird that after having babies, I want to watch it even more now? I don't know. But anyway, so that is my controversial choice for number 6. Being that it was
released in 2024.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, 22. Yeah, that's when it was. Nobbins, what do you got for number 5?
Well, I don't have The Coffee Table because that was genuinely one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen in my life. But I do have a good movie for people to watch. And it's called The Wailing. Not The Wailing.
My brain went there at first.
Which is a Japanese movie.
I don't know that movie. What is that? And then I quickly realised. Change that to an AI.
Yeah.
We're sailors on the moon. It's another one of those...
What? What?
I just started singing a happy wailing song.
Yeah.
From Futurama.
From one wailing to the other wailing.
The moon, we carry a boon.
Yeah.
Yep. So The Wailing came out in 2016. It's a South Korean horror movie. Another one of those movies that I was catching up on some of the best Asian horror movies of the last 10 or 15 years. And it's about a stranger arrives in a small village, and then a sickness starts spreading around. People get affected and they're not sure what's going on. It starts off pretty slowly but then accelerates pretty quickly, and there's lots of twists and turns, and there's a lot of both traditional Korean, Nepalese religious symbology, but also some Catholic symbology in there as well, which I love. I love that religious aspect to movies because as a lapsed Catholic myself, the whole the whole theatre of religion's always fascinated me, even though I don't believe in or practice it anymore. It's still, as a driver of human behaviour, it's fascinating to watch. This is, in terms of tension, it just ratchets up the tension. I think the young actress who plays the daughter is probably one of the best performances by a child I've ever seen in a movie. She is just phenomenal. And yeah, it's just a brilliant movie. I don't want to give too much away again, but if you like your horror with some religious symbolism,
this is one that's been on my list for a long time. I've heard people talk about it over the years. I'll get to it one day.
Right. Yeah.
One day.
No, sounds good. All right. Whatever your name is, what do you get number 5?
Prepare to be annoyed with me again, because I also have some context movies to
oh boy.
With this pick.
Okie dokie. Nobbins, should we just go like grab a hot dog or something and we'll come back, in about...
Well, at number 4, I've got the films of MGM Studios. So it's just a little bit of a cheat.
I will say, technically, I did not discover Robert Altman this year because I watched Images last year, which was one of my favourites of last year. But this year, I discovered that he's becoming one of my favourite directors because I watched.
I'm sorry, that joke was amazing. The films of MGM Studios. Yeah, okay, sorry, please keep going.
So I watched O.C. and Stiggs and The Long Goodbye, and then my pick, which is Thieves Like Us. And so this film follows 3 guys who escape from prison, and they're robbing banks, and they know this guy that they're like staying with him for a while, and he has, I think it must be his daughter, who's played by Shelley Duvall, and she ends up falling for one of the guys who also falls for her, played by Keith Carradine, and it's like really cute. Like the movie's sort of half following the guys trying to be free but doing the robberies, and the other half is about the 2 falling in love, and that's definitely the more interesting part that makes it really good, I think. And yeah, so I just found this fascinating. It kick-started Keith Carradine kick because I didn't really know him, but I just found him really interesting to watch in this film. So then I started looking at other films. I've got another Altman film, Nashville, that he's in that I have ready to go. So yes, that's... And also Thieves Like Us and O.C. and Stiggs are also Radiance releases. So more Radiance.
Right. Yay! So number
Nashville's
5
fantastic.
is
Absolutely
the Radiance
I hear a lot of
catalog
people talk
to
about that, and I think is it California Split? Is that him as well?
Yes.
Haven't seen.
Yes. I'm guessing.
I don't know if I'm getting
I got a
mixed up
50-50
with
shot here.
something else.
So Shortcuts is one of my favourite movies of all time. It'd be in my
Yes.
top 10 all time.
Wow.
So I would recommend
California
getting around
Split
to
and
seeing it.
Nashville, I have purchased digital copies because they were like $5 each.
What was the movie called, Nobbins?
Shortcuts.
Oh, sorry, I misheard
Do you think Short Bus?
Yeah.
I thought it was... I thought
you meant shirt cuts.
something else. Just a movie about a bunch of dwarves who are like really irritating people. And anyway,
Little people, I think they prefer
please
to be called.
continue. Yes, sorry, midgets. Okay. No, what were you saying?
Just that I've got a couple more of his films lined up because I've enjoyed these 3 so much this year. No,
For the number 5 spot.
to watch.
Oh, right. Oh, okay, right. Well, my number 5 is Fruity and Delicious. And I have checked, even though the release date for this, or the year of manufacture was 2023, it was actually released in 2023. I've done my homework now. And it is a movie called Blackberry, which was basically kind of a biopic of the people who created the BlackBerry phone device that was a spectacular failure, and how it sort of, led on to modern smartphone devices and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just going to read you my review because I can't possibly say it any better than how I said it on April 29th of 2024. What an absolutely gripping film. From start to finish, this had me completely captivated. Brilliant performances and deftly directed. At times, it feels like a documentary. The time periods were reproduced authentically, with great song choices helping in that department. This was a fascinating look at the rise and fall of the device that led to what I am currently writing this review on. How clever is that? It's not going to end well, but the final scene is still crushing. I cannot recommend this film highly enough, and I'm shocked that not more people talked about it. Because, around that time, I knew that, it was a hugely acclaimed film and everything, but I didn't know too many people who were talking about it or whatever. I know, Nobbins, you gave it 4.5 stars.
I knew about it
there is
because
that.
I listened to Movie
Yeah, you knew about it. You didn't
I haven't
talk
watched
about it.
I can't talk about things
talking
I haven't
about
watched.
it. You could say, there's this film
I
called
was just
Blackberry
saying
that
I
would
heard
really,
people
really
talk
love
about
to
it.
watch. And it was released in 2023.
Not 2024.
No, not 2024. Or 2022, like the coffee table.
I do believe I mentioned it to you before you watched it. So I did actually talk about it to you. Whether you actually paid attention or remembered.
No,
I'm going,
God, no. Neither
I'm
of
going
those
to
things.
search.
Well, it's actually both. I don't remember not paying attention to you. That's how deep I went into this. But no, it was an extraordinary film. Yeah, like I said, it was gripping from the opening scene. And some of the performances in this film were just absolutely brilliant. Jay Baruchel was the main guy in it. Who was it? Glenn Howerton?
Glenn Howerton.
Yeah, his character it was probably one of the scariest people I've seen outside of a horror film. Actually, no, not quite. He's almost like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash kind of a thing. He was just freaking a tour de force. But look, overall, that film was I was gobsmacked at how good it was. So, there you go. That's my number 5. Booyah! Nobbins, we're up to number 4.
I will just
this
say
is exciting.
that
Oh
my
God.
top 4 were instantly my top 4, and I had that set, and the rest I had to think about and play with the order and everything. But these 4, complete gems.
Oh, look, my 4 were pretty much no-brainers, as I was very hastily ranking my list when Nobbins was talking in the first part. So no, it was.
And I know that we're going to have one the same.
Speaking
and
of
I'm
number 4,
did we rank it the same?
exactly. Yeah, of course we did. You know we did. But anyway, we digest. Nobbins, what do you got for number 4?
Well, my top 4 have been set in stone as well until a minute and a half ago when I changed one of them around for something else.
Ooh, controversy. Shut up, Frankie.
So, at number 4, I've got a movie that...
You've got a movie?
Yeah, controversially, I've decided to throw a movie in. It's called The Sting. It's a little-known movie.
Never heard of it.
Came out 1973.
But it was released this year, dude.
Ah, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, my mistake.
They held it off for all this time. Oh, man. All right, fine. Keep going.
As you both know, I've got an aversion to older movies.
Yes.
So, 1973 is not old, but it's also towards the start of my acceptable watching period. So
Right.
I've not seen The Sting, obviously, until this year. It's obviously a pretty famous piece of cinema. But it's in that genre that I love, which is heist movies. I just love a heist movie. I'm surprised I haven't watched this before because it is one of the best heist movies I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's the script is just schmick, and
I do like a schmick script.
Schmick script.
Schmick scripts
The
are good.
lines just bounce off each of the characters, and they're just very clever, beautifully written. The writer, David S. Ward, followed up this beautiful wordsmith with writing the movie King Ralph, so I guess this might have been a once-off.
Yep.
But, yeah, performances were fantastic. It was great to see, the younger Paul Newman and Robert Redford, I guess at their peak, coming off Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. They were sort of box office gold back then. The whole setup, it's quite intricate. The heist itself, there's a lot of moving parts going on. There's a lot of things that need to fall in place for them to get revenge on this gangster that's out for Robert Redford. So I guess it's also another revenge movie as well. Just something different.
How many graves?
This one was just 3.14 graves.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
And let me guess, the last one was full of pies?
Pie.
Yeah.
They're all full of pie.
Oh, okay, yeah, good stuff. And this is an American film, so they were
It is.
American pies.
Well, yeah, they say bye-bye as they walked off into the sunset.
Right. Did they miss the American pies?
They did, yeah.
Right. Bye. I
should
miss
have aimed
American
better.
pie. Yeah, anyway. Oh, boy. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a fantastic movie, superb script and performance. If you are a fan of either Robert Redford or the source guy, Paul Newman, then, or heist movies, or Paul Redford, or Robert Newman, then get into this.
Well,
I'm
this
a fan
one
of
is in my
pies.
list. I added it after you talked about it, and it's streaming on Binge, so it is easily accessible for me to get to, which I like.
Very good. All right.
I've got a bit of trivia for you, sir.
Oh.
The movie was filmed on the back lot of Universal Studios, and the diner in which the two characters meet for the first time is the same interior used in Back to the Future, where Marty first meets his father and calls Doc Brown.
Oh my God! So, if I watch that scene in The Sting, am I going to see that happen in the background?
Yep. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. No, I actually really do want to see that film because it is one of the most famous movies ever freaking made.
And none of us had seen it before this year.
None of us. Yeah, and now only one of us has seen it. So, yeah.
And it's available on Blu-ray, HD DVD, beta, vinyl, cassette tape.
Vinyl cassette tape. I don't even know what that is, but I'm still waiting for the Commodore 64 version myself. But anyway,
Okay.
All right, Frankie, number 4.
My
Bring
number
it.
4
Let's bring it.
is The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. This is another one I've known about for a long time, but I was like, that's a Western. Nah, I don't really care. But I've kind of got into Westerns in recent times, and subconsciously, because I still had a thing about watching it, and I was like, oh, this is a masterpiece. I'll watch 3:10 to Yuma, the remake. Oh, this is a masterpiece too. So obviously I do like Westerns. I just didn't know it because I was not watching them. And I was tossing up a bit between this and 3:10 to Yuma because I did like them both so much. But and Ben Foster in 3:10 to Yuma is one of my most favorite performances of the year. But I went with this one because I think this one's better, and it's.
Just put them
No,
both
I
in.
picked this
Come on.
one because
this is not the first time you've done this.
Casey Affleck and
Okay.
Brad Pitt.
Casey Astronaut and Ben Pitt.
Still again, Ben
Casey,
Foster, obviously.
Come on, he's Casey Astronaut. You can't call him that.
I remember Ben Foster. He was in that movie
Do
Norfolk.
you know I've always called that
Sure.
Norfolk? I didn't know those things. But I've just
it might
looked
be
at the
Norfolk.
word because
I just thought
I can't
Norfolk
remember.
sounded-
I must have said it in the movie, but
Either way, he is Casey
Yep.
Astronaut for the rest of my life. I don't care what you call him. For context of this, please see,
I was
one of our
talking
previous
about
episodes
Yeah.
where...
Slingshot, where he plays an astronaut.
Yeah. And you're like, Casey Astronaut. And yeah, to this day, my wife still laughs at that every time she thinks of it. So, yeah.
Please, Casey Astronaut was my dad's name. You can call me
If,
Mr.
if,
Astronaut.
if anything came out of our podcast this year, that is the thing that I'm sticking with. That was my favourite moment. Yeah.
I think it's a T-shirt. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
we've got
a
to do it.
T-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah,
Casey Astronaut.
Yes.
Yep.
We're going to have to do a Casey Astronaut shirt.
I'm into that. I want one.
All right. Yeah, so do I.
So do I.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
I really love this movie. Brad Pitt, I have always found he's one of those actors that's really good at acting with his eyes, and there's a lot of scenes in this where it's just like a shot of his face, but you can tell exactly what he's thinking or feeling. And then Casey's playing Robert Ford, and he's, a favorite of mine. He's like, this kind of awkward, nervous kind of guy, and he's the youngest of his brothers, so he gets teased all the time and everything. And just the dynamic between them, because it's kind of like a story about celebrity obsession from way back, and so he is obsessed with Jesse James, and he's trying to get in with the gang, and eventually he does, and because it's in the title that he does end up killing him. And it's really cool because even though you know what's
No
going to
point in watching it
happen,
now.
like, you're still really like gripped to it, watching the lead up to it, and then when it actually happens as well. And so I just thought it was quite fascinating, and it's quite long, but I just feel like you don't feel the time because you're so invested in I was invested in what was happening, so I didn't notice the time. And so I haven't got back to watching it again. It's almost one of those, it was so good I'm scared if I watch it again I won't like it as much, which is silly because generally I always do when they're this good. But it's definitely one of the biggest surprises of the year, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't see it when it came out.
Yeah, right. Because as we talked about before, like, I bought it on Blu-ray. I don't know why, and I remember watching it. I think it was one of those things. Like, at the time, maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind for it or something, because I didn't dislike it, but at the same time, I don't remember a single thing about it. But I have no idea why I blind bought the Blu-ray. But one of these days, I will definitely.
One thing I think it did
revisit
work
that
for
film
me
because,
watching this year, though, is that Casey's a favorite of mine, but Brad Pitt. I remember, back in the 90s, it was like Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp, and I was always Johnny Depp because I like darker and weird, and Brad was too, that thing. But now that he's older, he's kind of got into this stage of life where he's just become really cool, and he's taking roles that are fun for him rather than doing the Hollywood heartthrob big movie star thing. And I just find him way more fascinating now. So I just really enjoyed watching the two of them, and Sam Rockwell and Jeremy Renner were great in it too. So it was a good time.
Cool. So my number 4 was a bit of a surprise. There was once upon a time a friend of mine who may even be listening to this podcast, and if you are Mr. Buffy Prescott, yes, thank you. Left a gigantic box of movies on my doorstep, and it actually took me a month to figure out who actually did it. But there was one night I was looking for a movie in my collection, and I thought, I want to watch something that I haven't seen before. And so I picked this movie called Another Earth, which was from 2011. And it was actually released in 2011, so shut up. So I didn't know anything about this movie. I just thought, okay, I'm just going to throw it on, check it out. And holy shit, it is so good. So it's this weird thing where, there's sort of a subplot about how a second Earth has actually kind of made its way into our Earth's sort of orbit, I guess. But that is one of those things that just sort of plays in the background. It's not like a, sort of a front and center kind of storyline. So it's mainly about this girl who she's finished, she's been accepted into MIT. She celebrates with her friends. She gets drunk one night. She's driving home. She causes an accident that winds up killing this guy's wife and unborn son and their young kid, like his whole family. So she goes to jail, and upon her release, she's racked with guilt and everything, and she sees this guy who, she sort of, who was in the accident, and she goes to his place to try and apologize, but she just can't do it, and she kind of winds up pretending that she's like a door-to-door janitor who will do jobs and stuff, and so their paths kind of start intertwining and stuff. In the meantime, you get all these news reports about how this second Earth is coming, and how there's a contest sponsored by a millionaire who's offering a civilian to go on a space flight to Earth 2 and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, it was a really fascinating character study. It was a really interesting way to, like an exploration of guilt and grief and all of that sort of thing. And I watching the Blu-ray special features, because this movie is available on Blu-ray. The way that they made the film was actually really freaking interesting. Like, for the scene where she emerges from prison, they actually got the actress to like dress up, go into the prison or whatever, pretending she was somebody else doing something or whatever, and they kind of escorted her out. And so they actually filmed that moment of her walking out of the jail and used that in the film. This whole thing was, I think they started off, the only thing they had was like a janitor's costume or something. They didn't have any money for the production budget or anything like that, and they just kind of borrowed bits and pieces here and there. So it's like this really low budget guerrilla style film, and that is GUER, not guerrilla style, like big hairy monkeys making movies, because I just don't know if they could do that. But yeah, no, I highly recommend this film. It is on Disney Plus. Although, like I said, it is available on Blu-ray and all traditional forms of physical media as well. But yeah, and the ending was really fascinating as well, which I'm not going to say anything about. But yeah,
was it a third Earth?
What's that? Sorry.
Was it a third Earth?
No, but it is one of those endings that it kind of ends abruptly, and it makes you think, like, oh, hang on, what actually happened there? And you can sort of piece together, your own conclusion kind of thing. And I like movies that do that. So, yeah, no, that was one of the biggest surprises I had this year. And yeah, I absolutely love the film. So there you go. I believe we are into our top 3.
I believe you're right.
Oh, this is so exciting. Oh my God. Nobbins, you get the honour of
So, at number
revealing.
3...
Yes.
I have 310 to you.
So we get to talk about it in
Seriously?
detail anyway.
Ooh. Excellent.
I've seen The Assassination of Jesse James, but I saw it 2 or 3 years ago, so it did not make this list. I think, from my viewpoint, they're both very good movies, but they're quite different movies. So it's difficult to compare them straight up. 310 to Yuma is more of your traditional action western, where there's stuff happening. You've got the small-time rancher played by Christian Bale, who's got to go up against this outlaw, charismatic outlaw, Russell Crowe. They've got to get him to a location, the outlaw to a location. This train which is leaving at 3:10 from Yuma. To Yuma.
Yeah.
And it's about the journey from the ranch of Christian Bale's ranch to where they need to take Russell Crowe, and the sort of the battle of wills between the two characters as they go. So you don't know much about the two at the start. On the journey, there's a lot of exposition, talking about their backstories. You don't know whether Russell Crowe is as good as he appears to be. Obviously, he's this ruthless leader of a gang, but he's also quite gregarious. He doesn't seem like a bad guy or an evil guy, even though he says he is.
Yeah.
So there's that tension between how he plays himself, and is he actually that person, or is he, more of a shit person? It gets resolved in the end, kind of. But yeah, it was a great piece of the movie. It's super entertaining. There's a lot happening, even though it's over 2 hours. I never felt like I was like the plot was dragging at all. I didn't feel the need to reach for my phone. I was completely engaged in the story.
Yeah.
The cast is absolutely brilliant. Directed by James Mangold, who has done some superb work with Logan and Copland and the like as well. It's just a really well made Western. And if you're a fan of the genre at all, I'd say it's right up there in terms of Unforgiven, this, and the assassination of Jesse James. It sort of my top 3 Westerns that I've seen.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I actually gave it the same rating as Jesse James. That one's just a little bit more my favourite, and I don't know if it's just because of the leads, because I also really like Christian Bale and Russell Crowe together, and of course Ben Foster is the most amazing bad guy, so that was really fun, and he had a really cool outfit.
He's just a mentalist.
Yeah.
And Alan Tudyk is really good in it as well, in his smaller role.
And I've got I know you guys are familiar with this anecdote, but I will never forget when that movie came out in cinemas, and I was still good friends with a bunch of the people who worked in the cinema that I'd previously worked at. And when they put the big the letters up on the marquee out the front of the cinema, displaying the new releases and stuff, one of my friends actually got the letters out, and he actually put up there 310 to your mum. YAMUM, because at that time, your mum jokes were just like going thick and fast, and he just couldn't resist.
Like your mum.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it stayed there for about 4 or 5 days, and no one actually said anything until management caught wind of the fact that they were advertising a movie called 310 to Your Mum. But anyway, but no, I
would have loved to have seen this movie at the cinema, and also Assassination of Jesse James we saw on TV, but they're both very cinematic movies. I would, if it's ever reshown,
I would love to see them on the big screen
at the movies.
Yeah. All right, Frankie, number 3. What is it?
Number 3 is Blood for Dracula.
Hey, Watchins!
This is probably my weirdest pick of the year, in that on paper, this sounds like the most fucked up and weird movie, and it is. But I love it anyway.
And this is someone who just saw Fateful Findings, so that's really
this is
saying
completely
something.
Different from that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say
Kinda.
most of this comes from Udo Kier as Dracula. Like, he's outstanding in this and completely captivating in his performance. And as I said in my review, it's sexy, amusing, sleazy, fun, terrible, amazing. The kind of movie that you can't just recommend to everybody, because I think it's a niche crowd of people who will even like this, let alone love it. But I don't know. I just even said within 30 seconds I was in love. The opening to this, is just an amazing opening. It's just like Udo Kier sitting there doing makeup and the way the title comes on screen and stuff. But just the look in his eyes and his expressions and stuff, just very good. There's some terrible acting and craziness and some dodgy storylines and everything, but and as I said, at all times captivating, as all Draculas should be, and kind of sexy, as some Draculas should be, because, you know, I like a sexy Dracula, but I like the variety, which is why I'm looking forward to Nosferatu coming out, which is apparently scary Dracula, so, yeah. So I just had to, this had to be number 3, because it made such an impression.
Awesome. Nah, that's cool. Well, my number 3 is another Frank commendation, and that was a movie from 2019 called Villains, which stars Bill Skarsgård and Micah Monroe as a as the best couple ever.
The best couple ever, because as soon as I say that, I think of Dinner in America, so I'm like, oh, we've got lots of good couples.
Right. And Neil Breen and laptops. So these two, they're on the run. They've committed a crime. They're not a very wholesome couple, and they wind up breaking into this house in order to
their car broke down.
Was it, if I remember correctly? Yeah, a car breaks down, so they break into this house. So then the residents of the house, played by Keira Sedgwick and Jeffrey Donovan, come home, and the tables get turned, and what they discover in this house is not what you'd expect, and some really weird shit starts to happen, and I just love that whole dynamic of, you know, the criminal couple you kind of think would be, you know, they'd have the upper hand and everything, but then things get turned around, and some of the things that they find in this house and stuff, like down in the basement and what have you, is really shocking. And the more you learn about this weird couple, it just, oh man, the way the story unravels is just absolutely amazing. And I absolutely would have given this film 5 stars if it hadn't ended the way that it did. Because, oh man, I refuse. This is one of these instances where ordinarily if a film ends the way I don't want it to, I just accept it. I think, okay, like, you know, that's how it is. I flat out refuse to accept the way this film ended, okay? In my brain, no, that is not what happened. I write my own ending for this film because, screw them. But it is a really fun film, very dark comedy kind of a thing, with some really messed up scenes, but highly recommend that one. So that was my number 3.
It was a surprise for me. I actually found this because obviously I've been a fan of Bill Skarsgård, and I also have come to really like Micah Monroe, and I can't remember which one it was that I was looking at the filmography of, and I saw that there. And maybe, I think it was Micah, and I might have seen that and gone, oh, she's done a movie with Bill Skarsgård, and so straight away I watched it. And I had never heard of it. No one's ever talked about it, and it's such a fun little movie. And so I'm glad that you watched it straight away too, so we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's on my watch list. I think I've still haven't seen it.
It is on your watch list, and it's on Fraser Jubb's watch list.
Jeffrey Donovan, I don't really know him, but I really loved his character in this. Like, just the way he was styled and how he was and everything. I thought it was really cool, and obviously, Keira Sedgwick, I've always been a fan of her.
Well, why is that obvious?
Yeah.
Because you should know.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Cool. So that was my number 3. Nobbins, we are down to the nitty gritty.
Bum bum bum.
What is? I want to see your number 2, Nobbins.
Okay. Just give me a second.
Yep.
Here we go.
Oh no! Oh, sorry. I want to hear your choice for your number 2 favorite.
You want to hear my number 2?
Yeah. Oh dear. I would like to hear what your second favorite Discovery was for 2024?
My favorite discovery.
Yeah, I don't know. Just give me your number 2.
Ah, there we go.
Oh,
There's
wow,
my
thanks.
number 2.
Yeah, oh, my
That's,
God. Nobbins, we're going to skip past you if you don't cooperate. Bad Nobbins.
So, my number 2 is a movie from 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It's Robert Eggers' debut,
Nice.
The Witch.
Right.
So, the movie The Witch is about an isolated Puritan family in 1630s New England who become unravelled by the forces of witchcraft and possession. So I really love this movie.
Well, obviously.
It's been on my watch list on Netflix for as long as I can remember. But I was always put off by, I think I was worried about the pacing, about it being too boring and too slow. But it wasn't like that at all. It is quite slow, but it's so engrossing. The script is so well produced. It captures the language of the day really well without it being difficult to follow.
Right.
And the story is fantastic. I think a lot of people get put off because they come into it expecting a full-on horror movie. It's not a horror movie as such. It's a folk story with horror elements.
Yeah.
So if you come into it with the right attitude, it makes a big difference to your experience with it. The acting was superb all around. The concept of this malevolent force that's not seen until quite near the end of the movie, affecting this family who have had to move away from their society that they were in. So they're on their own out in the middle of the countryside, and they're quite exposed. And then there's this things start happening. There's a young set of twins that are, they might be possessed by something. Who knows?
Who knows?
A baby goes missing. The eldest daughter is put upon. She has to do a lot of the heavy lifting around the place and look after the kids, and she's also blamed for a lot of things. It certainly plays into the role of women back then, which was, it's generally a hard life in the 1630s, but it's doubly, triply, quadruply so if you're a woman, because there's so much expectations on women to fulfill that role that society expected of them then. It's the framing, the film was just beautiful. The really wide shots across the landscape, and the ending is fantastic. So it really, I was hoping they'd stick to the ending, and they really did. The ending was perfect for me.
Cool.
I loved it. If you're in the mood for that sort of folky type horror with great performances and a really good script, but don't mind it being a bit slow, then
it's hard
put this on your
to.
watch list.
Oh, yeah.
And
go
fun
ahead.
fact, Black Phillip, the goat in the film, in real life, his name is Charlie.
So my trivia for this movie is that Black Phillip was actually played by two goats,
Oh.
named Charlie and Buck,
Oh, I only got Charlie. I didn't know about the other one.
and apparently they're quite temperamental.
Oh.
Who would know for a goat?
Yeah. But see, that's what I was saying. I told you Charlie was an old-fashioned name, and that was from 1630. So, yeah.
Charlie the goat.
Yep.
Charlie the Wonder Goat.
Because they made the film in 1630. Yeah.
It was actually filmed live back in the time.
Yeah.
They buried the celluloid and they dug it up again in 2015, and they just put it straight to screen.
Exactly.
I was just
Frankie,
going to
what were you
say,
gonna
with Robert Eggers, I feel like it's really hard to kind of rank his films because they're so different. But I think The Witch is probably my favourite of them.
Yeah.
How did we get through all that without even mentioning Anya Taylor-Joy?
Easy. Just didn't mention her.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. Cool. All right, Frankie, what's your number 2? Because it's
Yeah,
going to determine a few things
my
now.
number 2 is Prisoners. It was my number 1 for the longest time until I watched my number 1 movie.
Yeah. Fateful findings. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, look, I was really deliberating between these two because one is a really well-made film that just, made me feel the feelings. One was possibly it was definitely the most fun discovery I had this year. But yeah, in the end, for my number 2, because now we've got to skip past you. Sorry about that. So for my number 2, this was a film that I never bothered seeing when it came out in 2021. It didn't interest me. But then when Disney stopped releasing movies over here on Blu-ray, our local JB Hi-Fi, they had a thing where they were just clearing out Disney Blu-rays, and so I picked this movie up for like, I don't know, $7 or something like that, and I'd heard it was good, but I thought, I don't know, I'll take a chance on it. And that is Cruella, a movie that I could not freaking believe how incredibly good this movie was, to the point where I had to watch it again like only a couple of days later because Kylie had come over back when she was my girlfriend. Or were we engaged at that point? I don't know. That's irrelevant. And I was just like, oh my god, you've got to watch this movie, and set her down. I was like, don't go anywhere. So this is essentially the origin story of Cruella de Vil. In 1970s London, amidst the punk rock revolution, a young grifter named Estella is determined to make a name for herself with her designs. She befriends a pair of young thieves who appreciate her appetite for mischief. Together they are able to build a life for themselves on the London streets. One day, Estella's flair for fashion catches the eye of the Baroness von Hellman, a fashion legend who is devastatingly chic and terrifyingly hot. But their relationship sets in motion a course of events and revelations that will cause Estella to embrace her wicked side and become the raucous, fashionable, and revenge-bent Cruella. Now, I may have seen 101 Dalmatians when I was little. I don't remember it. So I didn't have any investment in the character or, that whole story or whatever. But just as a standalone thing, this movie I instantly fell in love with her character. The look of the film was dazzling, especially all the costume stuff, all the big sort of fashion wardrobe reveals and everything, which as a straight man I'm saying, well, I was into it. I dug it.
As was I, as
another
pseudo straight man.
That
there you
straight
go.
men can't be into fashion normally?
No,
Yep.
because
Pretty much.
because it's often associated with. Never mind. So and the whole punk rock vibe, like they really nailed it in this film, and that is an aesthetic that appeals to me greatly. I just thought all the performances were fantastic. Emma Stone in the lead, Emma Thompson as the Baroness, who was just suitably, smarmy and despicable, and you just wanted to hate her so much. Mark Strong was in it. I thought his character was really great as well. And yeah,
Harkins is all the dogs.
Yeah. Just everything about this film was utter perfection. I could easily watch this movie at least once a year, like over and over again, and never get sick of it. The music, the soundtrack was just electrifying. It was, it wasn't a good time. It was a great time. There you go. That made my number 2 choice of this year.
I have that.
So
it was on my long list, but I cut it off because it was 2021.
So, because you didn't
I
do
haven't
anything
watched
after
it yet.
Morning
I watched the
After.
beginning of it
Gotcha.
because I
Yeah.
I was doing the same thing as you when JP were clearing out the Disney things, and I was like, I'm just going to watch the beginning to check that it's worth purchasing, and I didn't know it was going to be exactly like it was going to be, and yeah, I was instantly in love with it, and then I knew that you were going to probably love it because of all the like punk stuff and that, but I haven't watched it because then I started my Emma Stone project, which has been a bit on hiatus, but of watching all her films in order, so I'm going to wait until I get to it in her filmography.
Oh, all right.
So maybe it'll be on next year's Discovery list.
But no, I can't wait for you to get to it. Yeah, quite possibly so. I reckon you.
Well,
are
I
gonna
definitely loved what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So that was that's my number 2. Nobbins. We're down to it.
Drum roll, please. So my number 1 movie is, of course, a little movie known as Prisoners, which is a...
So...
What?
What? No, I'm just kidding. I saw Prisoners 10 years ago when it first came out.
I was going to say...
I'm a real fan, not a fake fan like you two.
No, you can't have that one. Wow.
It would be funny
well, yeah, but it also would have been
I do love
like
Prisoners. It's a
completely
definite 5 out of 5
for real
for me.
because everyone who watches it should be like in the top 2 of their favorites of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100% 5 out of 5 for me.
Ah, easy.
My number 1 is a French horror movie called Raw, which came out in 2016, not to be confused with the Katy Perry song Raw. This is R-A-W, as in not cooked.
I was actually confused then. I was like, how can a Katy Perry song be your number 1 movie? Like that.
This
doesn't
movie's
even make
been
sense.
on my watch list for a long time, but
I did spell it out for
just
you.
haven't got round to it.
Excellent. So I came across this movie after I saw The Substance. I went back looking for other new wave French horror movies directed by women.
Yep.
And this one came up as the debut for, I'm going to butcher this, Julia Ducournau.
Wow. Apologies to
who went on to
her
direct
family.
Who went on to direct Titanic.
I did not realise they were made by the same person.
Oh, with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, the one with the big ship. Yeah,
you need to
I
watch
love that movie.
Titanic, Dan. It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, add it to your watch
I'll be
list.
back.
No, you should click you should use the
list.
watch list function on Letterboxd so that when you have time to watch movies, then you
I
have
actually-
a list of everything you need to catch up on.
Yeah. I actually... No. I got to admit, there have been times... And sorry to interrupt, Nobbins. We will get back to you in a moment.
That's fine.
There have been times lately where I've been like, oh, I got a little bit of time right now. Maybe I'll watch a movie. And then I sit there and I scroll through Shudder or I scroll through Stan or whatever, and I'm like,
You know
I
what you
can't
should
find
do
anything. Fuck it, I'll play
is
poker.
what I do.
Whereas-
I add everything to
Start a watch
I add
list?
everything to my watch list, partially so it's there and partially so I don't forget that I've heard good things about it. And then if I want to
Yeah,
watch
I do the
something, I
same.
can go to my watch list and then filter it by what's available streaming and just look at everything and pick
Yeah.
something.
Oh yeah. I am such a
So
letterbox noob. It is ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, I've got a watch list on Letterboxd, I've got a watch list on Netflix, I've got a watch list on Disney, I've got a watch list on Shudder, I've got a watch list everywhere, and it's quite annoying, but less of my problems.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You can add things on the actual apps.
Wow,
can't
you don't even use a
Yeah.
watch list on
I think
any
I have
of the streaming
done that.
sites?
No.
How do you know what you want to get to?
No. Because
Oh
I
my
scroll
God.
through for about
I don't know
45
how,
minutes
especially
and then
on
I
things
finally
like
find
Netflix.
something
And then
like,
don't watch
Scrolling
anything.
is
that
terrible.
movie.
I thought you meant scrolling through
Yeah,
your
I know
watch
that.
list,
That's why I
not
don't
just
watch a lot of
everything.
movies. No, through the actual movies.
Wow.
Like I
Scrolling.
scrolled through them, and then I'm like, oh, now I'm just bored, and now I don't want to watch a movie. See, that's why I don't get to watch movies, because I'm too busy scrolling. It's got nothing to do with having 7-month-old twins. It's the scrolling. That's what's getting me. Like, yeah. Anyway,
New
Nobbins,
Year's resolution for you.
Raw.
Sorry, Nobbins.
So I.
Yeah.
That's all right. So I like this movie a lot more than Titan. It's it's a bit gory. So my review was gory, unflinching, tender, funny, and utterly brilliant. The film content is about this this woman, this young woman who goes to vet school.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister's already there. She's in the year above her, studying veterinary science as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts getting cravings for human flesh.
As you do.
And as you do. And what happens afterwards is, I don't really want to go too deep into it. It flows along really nicely. The ending is really satisfying in how it wraps up everything. It doesn't. It's very sympathetic towards the plight of its protagonists,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're flesh eaters and kill people. If you can be, I guess it's an analogy for growing up and finding yourself, for being alone as or feeling alone as you grow up and go to college, and as you navigate the journey from being a teenager to an adult. But it's also a film about eating people, literally. And it is not so much gory as grisly, I'd say. Well, it is pretty gory as well. It's quite confronting, because when you you start snacking on humans, it can be quite.
So it's a controversial culinary choice.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Apparently at a screening at the Gothenburg Film Festival, several members of the audience fainted and vomited, and over 30 people left the cinema prematurely. They had to take a break in the middle of it because of the chaos that ensued.
A similar thing actually happened at the Tallinn Black Night Film Festival when it screened there.
Really?
Yeah. Very similar kind of a thing. I was there. I saw the whole thing happen.
You would have provided aid to those people and helped them up.
I gave everybody AIDS, like, as much as I could. But it also turns out that I'm a filthy, filthy liar, just like our good friend Frankie here. I just went to add Raw to my watch list. What I thought
Which watch list?
was my brand new watch list. Until I find there is a cheeky little entry already on my watch list, which is a film called The Final Girls from 2015, which Frankie gave 3.5 stars. And I must have thought, oh, that sounds good. I'll add it to my watch list. And I didn't even realize that I was already using. So you know how I said that I've never used it before? You
use it and ignore it.
I am just a filthy, filthy liar. So yeah.
And also, I quite like The Final Girls. I thought it was quite good. I would have given it like 3.5 or 4 myself.
Yeah.
It's quite entertaining.
Well, apparently I want to see it. So yeah.
Do you though?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
So yeah, if you like modern French horror and enjoy that sort of style, then have a
Just
look.
reminded me, I watched a movie
It's on my watch
years
list.
ago about a woman who had this thing where she suddenly became fascinated with her own skin. And I was just been Googling. It may be In My Skin from 2002. I can't remember enough, but yeah, she basically starts kind of like, so
Eating.
anyway. There's a few movies around,
Lovely.
but I need to give that more priority on my watch list, especially knowing it's the same director as Titan, because I know Titan, everyone went on about, oh, it's the girl with the car. And so I wasn't expecting what it actually was when I watched it. There's like so much more to it than just that. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Raw. It's not just the story of a cannibal. There's a lot more to it.
Well, there we are. It's a 2025 movie. I shall make sure to watch it since it's been on my list for years.
It's been on my list for about 23 seconds now.
25 seconds.
Yeah. All right, now the floor is yours, Frankie. It is time for you to finally get to discuss Fateful Findings, your number one favorite discovery of this year. Here we go. Tell everyone about it.
Yeah, or actually talk about a real masterpiece. No.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Sorry, hello. Is this not working? Hello, can you hear me?
You are in like opposite land.
Okay.
So yeah.
Anyway,
Bizarro Dan.
Frankie, what is your number one choice for 2024?
Like, this is not just discovery of the year. This is one of the discoveries of my life. And this is the film Werkmeister Harmonies. Bellatar, and this was such a this truly was a discovery. I was browsing Amazon, and must have been one of their sale things. I was just going through stuff looking, and I just saw the cover of this and I thought, oh, that looks interesting, what's that? And I ended up watching a trailer, and that was enough to blind buy it. And yeah, this is like one of the biggest blind buy payoffs ever, because I absolutely loved it. It's completely different from... I mean, I've watched some slow films, but I haven't really got into the whole slow cinema thing. Mainly I've watched a couple of Tarkovsky films, and there's a film called It's the Seasons, and I can't remember where it starts. It's like autumn, winter, summer, spring, and autumn, or... I don't know the order, but it's that kind of structure. And that apparently gets called slow cinema. That's a Korean film, I think. But anyway, Werkmeister Harmonies is a Hungarian film, but the three main actors are German. And so they have dubbed voices because Hungarian is apparently a really hard language to learn, so they just got dubbed by Hungarian voice actors to not sound weird to Hungarian people watching. But this stars Lars Rudolph is the main character, who I love so much. And so it's following this character who's like a postal delivery guy, and he also helps out what's possibly his uncle, but it could also just be like an honorific thing that they call people uncle and auntie for older people they know. I'm not too sure. But anyway, he helps him out to get into bed and help around the house a bit and stuff. So, but this movie opens with this 12 or so minute scene where he comes into the bar where these old guys are drinking, and he enacts using them as this guy's the sun and this guy's the earth and the moon, and showing how the moon's revolving around the earth, revolving around the sun, and then an eclipse happens. And it's such a strong opening, and it's all in one shot, and they're just telling the story, and then you follow him leaving and going, to do his delivery stuff and to see the uncle to put him to bed. And then he sees this big truck come into town, which is this circus that has a giant whale with this special guest called the Prince. And there's talk around town that this prince is causing disruption in the towns that they've been going to, so people are worried about that. And our main guy, Janosch, is just really into the whale coming, and so he's like the first one when the truck... Dan, come on.
I didn't say a word, okay?
I saw your face. So he's looking at this whale and all fascinated, but there's unrest in the town, and you feel it building, and the movie builds up to this big sort of violence and this really, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But yeah, it is the kind of movie you have to be into kind of the slowness and the vibe of it. Otherwise, you'll just be like, this is boring. Like, some of the shots are held for a really long time, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who couldn't handle just sitting there through that. And I did just receive my Bellatar box set that Curzon put out, which is, I think, his entire filmography, if not, it's most of it, which has his feature films and a couple of his other films, like the one I told you about that's Macbeth, that's like a 60-minute version of Macbeth done in 2 takes. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the rest of his films, including Satan Tango, that's his 7-hour film. So, yeah, this film, the first time I watched it, I thought about it for the whole week afterwards and watched it again the next weekend because it was just so amazing. And the scene that really hits you hit me again the second time, even though I knew it was coming this time. And yeah, it's the character of Janosch, just...
Right.
Yeah, I love him so much. I don't know why.
The scene that really hits you is that when the whale comes to town. Like, you know, what? Hello? Is this thing
Yeah,
on?
let's talk about your number one, which
really
is my
isn't.
number 2.
So, before we move on,
Yeah.
I actually bought this on your recommendation.
Oh.
I haven't watched it yet, but my son, Will, who is kind of knows every movie, he came out and he saw me buying it and he said, "Well, Dad, I didn't know you were into good movies."
Nice. Well, I hope you
That's
enjoy
funny.
it.
Yeah.
I do too.
I'm very, very keen to
Otherwise, it'll be $10 wasted.
Oh, what? All right, so it's probably not going to be any surprise whatsoever by this point that my number one movie discovery of this year was Prisoners, which Frankie at one point she
Yeah,
saw
well,
this
it's
movie
funny
Prisoners and was
because
just like,
I
oh
found
my
out about
God.
this movie from listening to Film Feast's Discoveries of Last Year podcast. And one of the guys had that on his
Right,
list,
right.
and I was like, oh,
And-
that sounds really interesting. So I decided to rent it and watched it, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then
Amazed.
you gave it 5 stars, and you're like, you know, oh my God, this movie. And I'm like, how good can a movie with Stallone and Schwarzenegger be? Like, you know, it sounded to me like it was going to be a cheesy action film. Of course, yeah, I got it confused with, was it Prison Break?
No,
Or
yeah.
what was the Schwarzenegger
Escape
one?
Plan?
Escape Plan? Fucking, you know, same thing. Yeah, I got it confused with that because they both came out in the same year. And so, yeah, you had me really confused. I was like, wow. And I think, did we actually say so? Like, did I say something to you and you're like, no,
I
wrong
don't
movie?
remember
I don't
now
know
exactly how it
happened,
went. I think you were
I don't
confused,
remember
and I
either, but
thought you
either
were
way,
just
I
like,
thought it
wow,
was-
because I gave a movie 5 stars and raved about it. I don't know at what point we realized that we were thinking of different movies.
Yeah. Because I was like, wow, you know, for a Schwarzenegger Stallone action romp, like, to get 5 stars and such high praise from you, like, I was like, shit, this must be really good. Then I find out, no, it's not that. It is a movie starring Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, where Hugh Jackman plays Keller Dover, who is the brother of Ben, and his 6-year-old daughter goes missing. And basically, it's a very simple premise. Jake Gyllenhaal plays a detective named Loki who is assigned to the case, and it is about a parent's struggle and desperation to try and find their kid when the police don't
There's also
seem to be
2
doing enough
kids
about it.
because
But
her
you know,
friend that she was with got abducted as well.
oh, that's right, that's right.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
it'd
it
be
was too.
Otherwise, it'd be called Prisoner.
Yes, that's absolutely right. There were 2 graves that were set. No, there was, anyway. Yeah, that's right. There was 2. Sorry. And Paul Dano is in this film as a character named Alex who becomes like a prime suspect kind of a thing. And yeah, my God, the things that Keller winds up doing to this poor guy, but you know, we'll just let you watch the movie and find out. But yeah, from start to finish, like this movie, everything about it is absolutely perfect. It was directed by Denis Villeneuve. I'm sorry, that's how I'm going to pronounce his name, because if you're going to spell it that way, I'm going to pronounce it that way, okay? I mean, you know, I don't walk around with my penis hanging out, do I? Thankfully. But yeah, the build-up...
Oh, Kylie.
The build-up of tension throughout this film was amazing. And, you know, just the dynamic between Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal's characters... like I said, yeah, the desperation of this dad, you know, trying to find these kids and stuff, and then the ending is freaking amazing, and that's all I'll say about the ending.
Yeah, Detective
Frankie,
Loki is one of my all-time favorite TV characters, movie characters. Oh my God, we're recording this at night. This is why I'm not a fan of recording.
Oh yeah,
night.
it's late. But you watched it on a TV, did you not?
Well, okay.
There you go.
And
TV
one
character.
thing I really loved about this is that we don't really know anything about Loki, and I love that apparently Jake and Denis talked about his backstory and who he was and everything, but they just didn't put it in the movie because you don't need to know about him, and it's interesting the way that he plays the character. Like, you're really curious about him, but you don't know. He drops a couple of comments that give hints to some of his past and his personality from how he's reacting through the movie. But yeah, and I will just mention now that we did do a deep dive into this on a bonus episode, which you can find if you go through our history.
We did.
Because, I watched it and completely loved it.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Dan
we talked
watched
a
it and
lot.
completely loved it. So we decided we had to do a full spoilery podcast to talk about it. And that's probably the only time I've really done research for a thing, which is mainly because I found a really good interview that was done with Jake, and he said so much about it that I got most of my information from that. But yeah, I love this movie so much, and even though it's a very dark movie, I just find it really watchable. So yeah, I could easily watch it again and again. And David Dalmatian, we have to mention him.
Yes, David Dalmatian was
So
in this
another nickname
film.
we
Yep.
do know that's not his name. But
Yeah.
he was really fascinating in, in the character that he played.
Yeah, and I loved all the sort of red herrings and stuff in the film. Like, there was just so much going on. It was, I actually just revisited my review here, where I said Letterboxd needs to make exceptions for movies like this when ratings are limited to only 5 stars. 1,000 out of 5. Also, Alex got what he deserved after treating his poor dog like that. So there you go. Yes, I gave that film 1,000 out of 5
I
stars.
said it was completely captivating from start to finish, even on a rewatch when the mystery element is gone. Everything from the performances to the cinematography, lighting, sound design / score. And then I said the best and most intense performance I've seen from Hugh Jackman, and I completely fell for Jake Gyllenhaal's Detective Loki. Cannot fault this at all.
Yeah. Yep, 100% agree. Cool. Well, there you go. That is our list of our favourite discoveries of this year. That every single movie was before 2024. That's right. Every single film that we talked about came before this year.
So, question now is: are you gonna have a coffee table in your top movies of 2024?
Nope, because it came out in 2022. So shut up, because I saw it at the Talon Black Box. No, the Dark Knight Film Festival.
Was Batman
Yeah,
there?
fuck, I don't know. Anyway, shut up. No, because I was there.
Yeah,
and
okay.
You've never seen me and Batman in the same room together, have you?
I'm just going to quickly mention a few honourable mentions. That
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. You've got honorable mentions.
The
and we
one
don't,
that was
so,
closest
yes,
to
please.
being on my list was Nightcrawler, because that was a very fascinating watch. Because after Prisoners, Prisoners was a more intense Jake Gyllenhaal. I'd only kind of seen a handful of his films, and then I went looking for more. And so Nightcrawler is perhaps one of the more darker roles for him, because he's a super creepy guy. Also, The Card Counter, which we just talked about recently because I made you watch it. Deadly Prey was a fun one from this year, so that was close to making my list. I just watched too many other great films that it couldn't quite take a spot. Desperately Seeking Susan was an early one, but there's a lot of things I love about it, but overall it just couldn't keep up with everything else. Skinamarink I love because it really fully creeped me out in moments, as I talked about in recent episode. So I Saw the Devil, of course I had. Two that I left off because they're too obvious big movies were 12 Angry Men and The Fugitive. And I watched a really great Hallmark film this year called Three Wise Men and a Baby, which I just have to mention because it's in my top 2 Hallmark films I've ever watched. So,
Right.
Isn't there an oxymoron? A really great
Hallmark movies are on a different like track than normal movies. Like, they have their own rating system and their own little separate thing. You can't really compare them to other movies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all well and good, but can we go back to the bit where you saw Deadly Prey and didn't put it in your top 10 list?
Hey,
anyway.
it still made
actually,
top. It's
Can I
still
do
got
one
an honorable
honorable
mention out of
please?
my
I got one too.
350 whatever movies that I watched. Hey,
Yeah,
it's gonna
not good
be
enough.
in
Nobbins,
my
what's your
top 20
honourable
that I do.
mention?
So most likely, depending what I watch between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, it should be number 1. Anyway, Nobbins, honourable mention.
So my honourable mention is a movie that is well outside of my usual watching and well before my usual watching window. We went to go see Nosferatu, the 1922 movie at the cinemas at a a re-showing, a digital restoration, and I was super impressed with the camera work, the special effects that they managed to get going. It's like way back at the start of cinema, and you know, sure, some of it doesn't hold up particularly well, but there's some really good humour in there that they managed to slide in as well, and the character design. It's just a really good movie.
I need to watch some Buster Keaton. Like, there's some really like amazing tricks that they do that you wouldn't expect from movies that old, and the fact that they had to do it all on camera, just doing tricks with the camera and like refilming.
It's all camera tricks and on the actual film itself, and they had to be really resourceful with how they did their scenes. It was really impressive.
Well, actually, I would like to mention an honourable mention. Wow, that's a lot of mentioning. And this was a film I only watched 5 days ago. I was looking after the kids in the living room. They were both asleep. I was like, ooh, now's my chance. And so I went scrolling through things, and I came across a documentary called The J Horror Virus. And I thought, oh, I'm into Asian horror. Let's watch this thing. Holy shit, this movie is so freaking good. It basically not only, gives you the history of Asian horror, but it really breaks down why the Asians get it right. Like what is so much scarier about Asian horror than Western horror. And, it covers a lot of the absolute classics, but for me, being that Ring is my number 1 most favorite horror film of all time, they actually interviewed, I'm not even going to try and say her name, the actress who played Sadako in the original Ring, and Man, that was incredible. Not only did she give these amazing anecdotes about how between Ring 1 and Ring 2 she had had a baby, and so on the set of Ring 2 she was breastfeeding her 3-month-old kid in full Sadako costume, including the ripped off fingernail makeup and everything. Yep. But they actually got her to kind of recreate the way that she did the character, and so she put her own hair over her face, and she kind of had her knuckles out in front of the towards the camera doing creepy shit and everything, and I'm just sitting there like, this is amazing. But yeah, no, it was a really, really great exploration of why it really got into the nitty gritty of why Asian horror is so great. So I was hugely impressed by that film, so I'm going to give that one an honorable mention. There you go. Boom. Did it. Yes. All right. Now, that concludes our films for this year. So if you guys have only come here to listen to film recommendations, then off you go. Thanks for sticking around. It was
anyway.
Fun. What?
Sending people away?
Well, I was going to say... Yeah, well, no, if they only want to hear film recommendations. But if you would let me finish, you're a complete idiot if you do not stick around for the rest of the podcast. That's totally what I was going to say. Because what do you guys want to talk about?
I have a number of TV shows, I have some music, and I have a couple of books.
Brilliant. All right, let's talk books, because this is something we all share a very keen hobby with. I know I am a avid reader of books.
Well known. Yep.
Oh yeah. No, I know. I recently went to Melbourne and I purchased a paperback. I did. I bought myself a book. So yeah. Yep. It's a novel. It's
graphic novel.
Classed as a novel. I mean, look, just because in amongst the words they happen to have a lot of pictures and stuff around it, that's hardly my fault.
I will just say we don't have anything against people reading graphic novels. It's just a joke with Dan because he doesn't read.
Yeah, I'm just not and it's not because I don't want to. Just reading puts me to sleep, and the only time I can really read is at night going to bed, and I tend to read 2 pages and then I'm out. So yeah, I don't know. Last book I ever read was in 2017 when Ready Player One came out, because I thought, oh, that appeals to me, and so I did read that. But no, I got a book when I was in Melbourne, and it's called The Strange Case of Harleen and Harley, which...
Wow.
What? I bought a Harley Quinn book? You're kidding me. No, this is an interesting one because, of course, you had The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and so this is actually a retelling of Harley's origin, but sort of using the Jekyll and Hyde thing, as a foundation for the story. And yeah, I saw it had really amazing reviews and everything, and I don't know, I'm 3 or 4 pages in, and then I got bored because it's a book, but it looks really pretty. The cover is really interesting, and it's got colours, and Poison Ivy is in it, and what books have you guys been
I've had
reading?
a shocking reading year, truly terrible, so I'm changing things because I want to get back to reading a lot because I love it. So the 2 best books I read out of the not too many that I read this year, I did read Killers of the Flower Moon, which has been on my list since it came out, and I thought I would finally read it to watch the movie, which I still haven't watched. And yeah, it's really fascinating. It's I think they call it narrative nonfiction, where it's as it sounds, it's nonfiction, but it's written like a story. So it's not really, doesn't feel really academic. It feels like you're just reading a story, but it's just all fact, and it's really crazy what went down. And so I found that fascinating. I did start watching the movie, but the book is written like a mystery, like you go along finding out things, and the movie you kind of know who's a bit dodgy straight away. And I found, and because it's so long, there's like a lot of build up time at the beginning, and it was less interesting to me because I read the book. So I stopped watching it, and I might go back to it later when the book is not so fresh in my mind. So I have forgotten a lot of it and will find the movie more interesting. I mean, the movie wasn't bad, it's just because I knew everything, and yeah. And the best book I read this year, though, was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which is a horror book, kind of a Gothic book set in Mexico in the 50s. And this woman gets a letter from her cousin who recently got married, and she sounds really desperate and says her husband's trying to poison her. So her father sends her to go visit to see what's going on. And it's like a used to be wealthy family that have this big estate, but it's all quite run down now, and it's just the guy that her cousin married, his cousin, I think, and his mother and grandfather, and that's it. And she is trying to get in to see her cousin, but the family doesn't really want her to because she's unwell. And she's told, not to go into town unless someone goes with her. But the guy that's not married to her cousin is called Francis, and I love him so much. And it's just perfectly my kind of character. He's this kind of like shy, nervous kind of guy that is the only kind of normal one talking to her that doesn't seem to dislike her. And then, eventually everything's weird. She wants to leave, but she can't leave. And then there's just stuff starts happening. And it's kind of almost a bit folky horror in what starts happening. But yeah, it's very creepy. And I quite liked how it ended, because it's the kind of book that as it's going along, I started getting worried about how it was going to end and if it was going to go in a direction that I enjoyed or that would annoy me, kind of like villains, like which way will it go? But it went in a good way, and I quite liked how it ended up. And so now I just want to read all of her other books because that one was so good.
Yeah, right. Nobbins, what was on your reading list for this year?
Well, my favourite book that I read this year, and it's one of the best books I've ever read, was a book by Percival Everett called The Trees. And I'd probably describe it as the funniest book about lynchings that I've ever read.
Wow. Okay.
It's Percival Everett's a black author from America, and this is a very funny and very disturbing book about general racism in modern day America and the link to the racism of these people in these white people in the South, their ancestors, their parents and their parents' parents, and how it's still prevalent even after all these years.
It does sound interesting.
It's a brilliant book. It's superbly written, and really, really funny and also disturbing.
Right.
Highly recommend that. Another book I really enjoyed was by Jason Shearer called Play Nice, which is the history of Blizzard, which is the video game company. From their start. Exactly, from the start to their acquisition by Activision, and then the attempted acquisition by Microsoft, and as they grew and started programming these games, they're notorious for taking years and years to produce games. It's a really interesting look behind the scenes of how games are made.
Okay.
So that's really good.
Cool.
And probably the third one I would recommend to people would be All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which I just read this week. It's a novella about a robot hybrid, robot human hybrid in the future. So it's got organic parts, it's got non-organic parts, but it's relatively self-aware. It's really entertaining. It moves along really fast, and yeah, if you like that sort of fast-moving sci-fi, like Andy Weir, like The Martian type thing, then yeah.
I will just mention that
Cool.
I am currently
All right.
reading Stephen King's 11/22/63, which will be one of my favorites of the year, but I still have about 100 or
It's a
150
good book.
pages to go.
I really like that book.
Right.
It's a big book, but it moves
Yeah.
really quickly, so it doesn't seem like that big a book.
I'm currently reading.
yeah.
I'm currently reading All Star Superman, which was a series from 2015 that largely influenced James
nice.
Gunn's upcoming film. Which, after seeing
Nice.
that trailer, I was just like, oh my freaking god! I need to, I want to kind of find out like what was the inspiration for this film, and so that was actually turned into a film, which I have on Blu-ray. I had actually seen the film version of it, but surprisingly, the film was extremely faithful to the comic series, which was just like a 7-issue series. But like some of the artwork was like taken straight from the pages of the comic and put on screen and stuff. So yeah, that was very interesting. But that was actually one of the reasons that I haven't continued with my Harley Quinn book, because I've sort of gone on to reading that. But that's the other thing with books. I have a very short attention span. So
No way, not you.
I do. I really do. Yeah, funny about that.
Yeah, so if you want
Frankie,
to
you
take
said
a break.
something about TV shows. Well,
No, I just...
no. I'll sit here and listen. Yeah, no. Look,
You've got a TV show to watch.
yeah,
You've got one
I-
TV show to talk about.
I'm probably more of a book person than a TV show person. So as Nobbins can verify, after he sent me season, well, it was the only season of Watchmen, wasn't it?
Only season.
Yeah. How many years ago was that now?
Oh, 3 or 4 now.
Yeah, and I watched the first episode. And I was like, oh my god, this is so freaking good! I can't wait to watch. Oh, look, a squirrel.
I love that you picked squirrel for that story when we
I'm
don't
not
even
good
have
with
them
TV
here.
shows.
No.
But in Estonia, yeah.
But why don't you talk about the one TV show that you're really into at the moment?
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, because Frankie has the floor. So,
Yeah, I
yes, I
thought
got a
we
TV show.
kind of
Never mind.
talked about
Okay,
this
you go first.
recently when I said that you would have one show that
Yeah, we
you
probably
were
did.
really happy to talk about.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you did. I remember now. Hey, I have COVID. I have
So
an excuse
these
for
are my
forgetting everything,
favorites
so
of
shut
the
up.
year.
Yeah.
I finally watched The White Lotus after hearing it talked about for ages. Only the first season so far. That was really good. I also watched the first season of Reservation Dogs, which I need to continue with because that was also really good. And I also watched the
Love Reservation
first
Dogs. It's
season of
amazing.
Loudermilk on Netflix, which I love so much.
That just keeps getting.
Yeah, I ended up cancelling my
as it goes
Netflix
along
after
as
that,
well,
and
so.
I've got Netflix back, but I haven't got back to it yet. So I really need to because that was good. I also just finished a show called I Hate Christmas on Netflix, which is an Italian show. It's a short show. It has 2 seasons, and there's 6 episodes per season, and they're like half-hour episodes. But it was really fun. It's a girl that's about 30, and she's single, and her family. She gets sat at the kids' table at family events, and her mum keeps going on at her, and people making comments. And she snaps one day, says she's got a boyfriend, and then this is the start of December, so she has until Christmas to find a boyfriend that she can take to Christmas dinner. And it's an interesting show because the first season I absolutely loved, and it was really funny. And then the second season kind of took a different tone and went a bit darker, and I'm not sure how I feel about it and the main character, but overall it was good. So I finished that, and yes.
So this is the show that you
Well,
recommend
it's not.
to me
It's not
to
bad.
watch.
It's just a different tone. And
I'll watch season
no,
one
I
and then I'll
just
cancel
I
my
just
Netflix.
thought it was an interesting choice they make at the start of the second season to have the main character act the way she does, but it comes around at the end. And Fakes was a great show on Netflix. That was just one season. That was really cool. It's about a couple of high school girls who get into the business of doing fake IDs and selling them. And they get caught, and it's kind of
cool.
like flashback of them telling their stories. But what's really interesting is the first episode, there's one girl narrating and explaining how it all started. And then episode 2 is the other girl explaining how it all started. So, and it kind of alternates a bit and then sometimes is together, but you're seeing things from the different perspective of each girl. And so it's different depending on which one. And so I just found that really fascinating to watch. And, you know, I've mentioned Richard Harmon. He is in it, and I really love it because one girl sees him as he's kind of like a dealer that's helping them get stuff, that whatever. And one girl sees him as kind of jokey and fun, and the other girl sees him as a bit more sinister. So he kind of gets to play two different characters. So that was really fun. And
Yeah, right.
my favorite show of the year was Nobody Wants This on Netflix. Loved it.
I was going to mention that. So good.
So much fun, and I'm really glad it came up at the end and said there is a second season coming. So hopefully that will be pretty soon next year.
If you want to follow Timothy Simons on
Cool.
Blue Sky, he's very funny. I think he just plays himself in that TV show.
I don't. Which one is he?
He's the brother.
Yeah, he is fun.
Nobbins, what have you been
This
watching
year,
this year?
well, we watch a lot of TV, so we'll try to reduce it to a manageable amount. So we watched a very funny British show called Daddy Issues, where this young mid-20s maybe girl gets pregnant and has to move in with her divorced dad into his sad little
Just saw an
apartment.
ad about this one.
It's so funny. We loved it. Then we watched another British comedy called The Change, which is about this woman in her 40s who's about to go through menopause. She's looking at her life and maybe is not that happy with her choices. So she just leaves her family, her husband and 2 kids, and goes and hangs out in a village for a number of weeks. And it's pretty funny. It's another good story. A show that made me laugh a lot is the Guy Mont Spelling Bee, both the Australian and the New
I
Zealand
almost
version.
had that on my list, but I haven't completed the series yet.
Yep. So if you love panel shows, it is very, very funny. You can watch either the New Zealand show or the Australian show, and they're both very good. So I would recommend either.
Cool.
Yeah, we love Nobody Wants This, and we're just getting into A Man on the Inside, which is the Ted Danson comedy from Michael Schur, who's Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks and Recreation fame. And that's very
Watched the
funny.
first episode of that. I've got a few
cool.
shows that I've watched
Right.
the first episodes of that I need to complete.
And that's it. Thank you.
I watched a show.
You did.
So, well, look, as you may have deduced by now, dear listeners, I'm a little bit of a comic book fan, and I do lean towards DC. So with the whole, reboot of the DC universe, or the DCU as it is now called, the very first cab off the rank is a animated show that we're four seasons. No, we're not. We're 4 episodes into it at the moment. Called Creature Commandos, which is written by James Gunn. And it is kind of like another Suicide Squad kind of a thing, except with this first phase of the DCU, Gods and Monsters, it is kind of monster characters. So you've got like the Bride of Frankenstein is one of the characters in it, and Frankenstein himself is kind of a side character. you get all these other weird sort of wacky characters who I was not familiar with. This is kind of Guardians of the Galaxy all over again, where I went into that film not knowing what the fuck a Groot was, and walked out of that thing just like, oh my god, that movie just blew my freaking mind apart. And this is the same kind of a thing. Like the only two characters I was sort of familiar with was Weasel, who we were introduced to in The Suicide Squad, who wasn't in the movie much, but he was kind of a standout. And in this film, in this series, you've got Rick Flag Sr., who is, of course, the father of Rick Flag, who I'm not going to say what happens to him. So they were the only two I was really sort of familiar with. But by episode 2, I was so invested in these characters. Like, this is the kind of thing that, no matter what you think of the guy, James Gunn is just one of the best writers in Hollywood. And the way that he has crafted these, once again, they're outcasts, they're, sort of characters that have a lot of issues and internal struggles and all that sort of thing. And I was really on board. Like, the first 3 episodes, I was just like, this is so freaking cool. But then the 4th episode came out just the other day, and Gunn had said this was his most favorite episode, and I was freaking bawling by the end of it, because it goes into Weasel's backstory, which is not a story I thought that we needed, but the way it was told was so tragic and emotional and just beautifully written, and it just really has elevated this scrawny anthropomorphic rodent up into like sort of the hierarchy of my favorite DC characters now. But yeah, the whole show is just great. It's got great dialogue. It looks incredible. It is ultra violent. There's sex scenes. It's very much an adult show. But look, this is an amazing way to kick off the DCU. Like, I am so on board with this show. So, and then we got Harley Quinn Season 5 is coming out, I believe, next month, and that one's set in Metropolis, so they're obviously tying it in with the whole Superman thing. So, I am excited about TV shows. There you go. Just particular, very niche ones. So, all right. This has also been a pretty big year for music, though.
I have just limited mine to artists that I discovered this year rather than like albums and things. Mm-hmm. I will say that for bands I didn't discover this year, I will just quickly mention that I was very happy to get the new album from Knocked Loose. That I really love that album. I just like the sound that they have, like not just the songs, but like the little sounds they have in between the songs and things. There's a certain sound that kind of goes through the album that I really like. But also their songs are really cool, and they had Poppy on one of their songs.
They did.
So that's always fun. And Poppy also had a new album out, so I haven't had a chance to really dig into that one yet. I still need to listen some. I haven't been listening to music much lately, except while I'm working, or so I have just wanted, background music. I don't want to listen to things. Like I said, the new Marilyn Manson album came out, and I put that on while I was working, and then work, I suddenly had to concentrate on what I was doing because stuff was going on. And then I'm like, I'm halfway through this album and I haven't noticed any of it. So that's why I haven't listened to the Poppy album much. So I will get to it. But in terms of new discoveries, I had 2 discoveries from movies this year. I had, I say Zedberg, but she's probably Zberg, maybe. It's initial Z. She did the soundtrack to Strange Darling, which is amazing. And I actually haven't listened to any of her other stuff because I can't stop listening to this album. And it opens with a cover of Love Hurts, which is a song that I have never been into, but I really like this version, which also features Keith Carradine as well. And the other one is King Woman, which I discovered because there's a song in I Saw the TV Glow, which I loved. It's the kind of, I was just like, as soon as the end credits came, I'm like, all right, who was this song? Who do I need to look up? So, I'm still investigating. I've listened to the album a few times, but I haven't done a deep dive to specifically pick out songs. I find, I don't know if it's streaming age, but I find that I am less getting to know individual songs really well like I used to. Like when I listen to, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all the stuff from back in the day, I still know every song distinctly, and I know what my favorite songs are on every album and everything. And I feel like these days, I don't know if it's because I don't have a booklet in my hand to study lyrics and memorize them and get to know them and everything.
Absolutely,
so, I need to, I've been thinking this for a while, but I think I really need to make an effort of looking at lyrics and actively listening and getting to know individual songs, because, I mean, like, especially a band like Knocked Loose as well, where I don't know what the lyrics are when I'm listening a lot of it. So I feel like I need to sit down with the lyrics, follow along, get all the words that I can't tell what he's saying, and get to know songs, because I can kind of pick out good songs while I'm listening that stand out, but then I don't remember what they are. So anyway, I found a few artists from listening to playlists and discovering good songs. I have a couple of country ones, which is, I've never really been a country person until more recent times. So my big discovery of the year is Tyler Childers, who I had never heard of before. I think it was White House Road I heard on a playlist, and I then went investigating, and my favorite song, the last song on his latest album, is called Space and Time, and it's a really beautiful song, but he is so popular. I had no idea, because I'm noticing it now. I know who he is, and there was a live video at some stadium, and it was like a huge stadium that was absolutely packed. He's coming here with his band in February, and they had to add extra shows, and almost all the shows are sold out. And I can't go because they're playing in some weird place up north from me. So I have no idea how we would even get there without being able to drive. So, anyway, it's sold out now.
What an outrage.
But yes, I have collected, I think I have... I might have all his albums now. I just kind of went shopping. And he also has a song on the Twisters soundtrack, which is pretty good.
Right.
And then I also discovered Shane Smith and the Saints, because I heard Fire in the Sky on a playlist, and I haven't really investigated. It's another case of I really like the album that song is on, so I haven't really investigated their other albums yet. I think they have 2 other albums, and I think Shane Smith has some solo stuff I just noticed the other day, so I still have to go investigating. And also Cutworms, which I I think I saw the name first when I was browsing a playlist, and I expected something aggressive and maybe punk sounding, and it's not that at all. It's kind of, I think it's classed as alternative on the streaming thing, but it kind of almost has a sort of retro sound, even though it's modern. And same thing, I really like, I think it's his latest album is his self-titled album, and so I haven't listened to too much of his older albums because I like this one so much, but I probably should. And then my last recommendation came from Dan. And he recommended the band Soft Play.
Yes!
So I will let him talk about Soft Play.
Oh, what, do you think that was on my list? Yeah. Oh, well,
Well, I assume it would be, because...
Yeah, no, you assume correctly. Yeah, so... No, this was yeah, there were some big releases by some big bands and stuff. So, yeah, like Linkin Park dropped a new album, which I thought was entirely underwhelming. I don't know, I found the music was very sort of thin and just didn't have that same energy that it used to. So that was a bit disappointing.
So why is that on your discoveries list?
Well, it's not.
This is not our disappointments list.
Yeah, well, Dan discovered it was bad.
Exactly. Thank you. It's not that hard to figure it out. Jesus Christ. So Marilyn Manson, of course, brought out the long-awaited One Assassination Under God, Chapter 1, which was preceded by, all these amazing live performances and a few singles that sounded incredible, and everyone was like, oh my god, this guy's back, he's super thin and scary looking again, and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't mind the album. I listened to it a couple of times. It's good, but it didn't kind of have that thing that really grabbed me to make me listen to it over and over and over and over again. Hey, shut up.
I don't know why you're misinterpreting what this podcast episode is.
I'm not
hear
misinterpreting.
About your favorite discoveries?
So now we'll get into the ones that I really liked. No, because those were ones that I wanted to really enjoy.
Yeah, but this is not our favorite disappointments.
Well, shut up, because I am the co-host of this podcast, and it'll be whatever I want it to be. Hey, you had the entire MGM back catalogue in your number 6 or whatever.
Yeah, but because I loved them.
Yeah, there you go. An album that I really did like, that I didn't even realise had dropped until a week after it came out, is an album called A World Lit Only by Dub by a band called Godflesh. Are you guys into Godflesh at all?
Nope.
No.
Cue the sound of crickets chirping.
Yeah.
So these
it tastes pretty good, but
these guys have been around since the early 80s, I believe it was. It's a two-piece band from Britain, and they are pioneers of the industrial metal sound. Every band, Ministry and all the big heavyweights and everything, are around because of Godflesh. And it's, oh man, the music is interesting. A lot of their songs go for, on average, about 10 minutes. Oh, you know how there was a song I was saying, I was going to listen to a song that was about half an hour long? That was a Godflesh song. It is very atmospheric, it is very, soundscape kind of stuff. But yeah, they're freaking amazing. I've managed to see them live at a Soundwave festival, and their live shows are absolutely incredible. So, that album I really enjoyed. I am deeply torn between what was my favorite out of Poppy and Softplay, because when the Poppy album Negative Spaces came out, I listened to it 5 times on day one, and I'm still freaking listening to that thing. That is one of the most incredible albums. I would honestly say, for me personally, I think it is my favorite Poppy album. In terms of overall, from start to finish, there's not a single song on it I don't think that, detracts at all.
I always skip Crystallize.
See, I love it. I love that song so freaking much. Because it sort of reminds me of some of her earlier, OK Computer, not OK Computer, Poppy Computer. OK Computer was Radiohead. The Poppy Computer era, that sort of stuff, which there were a lot of songs that I really enjoyed there. So, I thought this album, she kind of dipped her toes back in the old stuff, but, with a lot of the more modern metal things. It was a great album. But, so Softplay, Heavy Jelly. So, back in 2019, a friend of mine, we went to a download festival, we walked in, and one of the very first bands that we saw on stage was this band. At the time, they were called Slaves. It was a two-piece band from Britain. We had this little muscly guy in tiny black shorts who was standing at an upturned drum kit, playing everything with his hands and singing, and some weird random skinny guy on either guitar or bass just sort of jumping around the stage. And they were by far the best band that we saw all day. We saw freaking Slayer, Alice in Chains, Judas Priest, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, a whole bunch of really big bands, but no one came close to what these guys brought. And so, yeah, they finally brought out a new album under their new name, Soft Play, this year. And that is just one of the most enjoyable, entertaining albums. It is true British punk, like, but with a really humorous edge. You got songs about John Wick. There's a song about your kitchen bin overflowing. There's a song about the backlash they had about changing their band name, which still has the best lyric from this year, which was Johnny Rotten is turning in his bed. I was going to say grave, but the fucker ain't dead, which I just love that line so much. That was actually, that is definitely my number one album for this year. And yeah, all of us are going to see them next month, which is going to be so much fun. So that is my year in music. There you go. That's including a couple of albums that disappointed me because I can.
Why not?
So there you go. All right, porn sites. Anyone got anything? No. We're going to move on. Random animals you've seen in the street.
I was trying to think of other things that I discovered this year, and I could not think of anything else.
Maybe. No. Do you mind if I do my music? Oh, that's all right.
Oh, shit. I'm so used to me going last that I completely forgot.
We went in a different order for this session.
We did. Well, because you kind of threw it over for me with soft play, and so, yeah. No, Nobbins, you're not allowed to do your music. Go to hell. No,
just move on.
Nobbins, please. The floor is yours. The spotlight is on you. Give me some musical deliciousness.
Musical stuff. So, in terms of albums this year, really loved Imaginal Disc by Magdalena Bay. Like, really good alt pop. No bad songs, no skips. Loved the Charlie XCX album Brat. Been a fan of her for quite a while now, since she teamed up with Sophie about 10 years ago.
That album is on a lot of critics' lists for this year, including a lot of number ones and stuff. I noticed.
So I'm guessing that's where that whole Brat Summer thing came from.
Yeah. So Charlie's kind of being independent, sort of just below the radar, and she's just she's been around the scene for 10 to 15 years. Wrote some really successful songs, including Fancy with what's her name, the Australian woman, Izzy Azalea, and
or Iggy
Pops, Iggy Azalea, and then she went alternative as well, but she's big now. She's touring next year with the Laneway Festival. Got big into Jeff Rosenstock, who is a absolute gun, pop punk dude. Went to go see him in concert. The new Chelsea Wolfe album was superb. Love that. Very textural, very moody, very good.
Still need to get into that one more. I've only given it a couple of listens.
Yeah, it rewards additional listenings, I believe. I believe it is true. And the other album I want to shout out was Artificial Bouquet by Frail Body, who are touring next year with Blind Girls. Screamo music, but peak Screamo. Recommend them highly.
Cool. Oh, and of course, it's probably worth mentioning that Electric Bongo dropped a new single this year as well called Make the Pets Great Again, but, that's just neither here nor there. Cool. All right. Well, this has been 3.25 hours of us giving you recommendations. You now have 33 about 78 movies, thanks to Frankie, to go listen to. You've got a whole bunch of books to read. You got comics, you got TV shows, albums. Basically, your next year of entertainment is taken care of now. We've done it for you. You're welcome, Yeah.
And coming up, we're going to have our top 10 films of 2024.
Yes, including the coffee table.
Maybe we will be giving out some of our own awards.
Underwear? Oh, yes. We've got... I reckon we can probably mention what it is, can't we? Drop the name?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to be having our very first ever annual DAFcademy Awards, which is the Dan and Frankie awards where golden cat trophies are imagined being given out to various things. We've got a whole bunch of categories that aren't your usual stuffy affair of your best pictures and cinematographies and best editing and sound design or whatever bullshit. No, we've got cool categories like person you want to slap in the face the most or whatever it was, and best hair and person you want to be friends with the most, and things like that. Best pet, I don't know. So yeah, the Deaf Academy Awards will be coming up who knows when, soon, because just whenever we get around to it. Just count yourselves lucky that you get to listen to us at all. Okay, no, that's not very nice.
So yeah, this will be our last episode for December, because we need to wait till the end of the year, of course, to do our end of year things. So those other episodes will be coming in January.
Yes, they will, and then eventually we'll get back to our regular scheduled programming. And
we'll probably do a casual episode where we just talk about everything we've watched over the break and get back to some trivia.
Yes, which I'm very looking forward to, because I can't wait to win that $190 Art Attack Terrifier set from Umbrella. All right. Well, it's, 3.5 hours almost. Nobbins, thank you so much for coming along and injecting some much needed humour into this, because, we're ordinarily very boring people. And
it's true.
Yeah. So, no, that was very good. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, myself. I don't know. It's, 3.5 hours. Shut up. So yeah, stay tuned for all the upcoming things. Like I said, if you want to get in touch with us, Google Dan and Frankie, or you can Dan and Frankie podcast at gmail or hotmail.com, or we're at Dan
AOL.com or
email_Frankie.com, or we're at Dan and Frankie.blsky.social. Oh, I remember that.
Just
BLSK.
Blisky. Yeah. So get in touch with us. Come and talk to us. Come and hang out. Come and tell us what some of your favourite thingies of this year were. Whether it be the best hot dog you had, or the best time you saw someone slip on the ice and hurt themselves, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter.
Tell us your best number ones and best number twos.
Yes, exactly. Preferably not with photographic evidence. But anyway. All right. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Stay safe. Watch lots of movies. Read lots of books. Watch lots of TV shows. Listen to lots of music. And bye for now.